When it comes to home insurance, Geico works for you. And since I'm the Geico Gecko, I work for you too.
Hey, Gecko, can you sing my son a lullaby?
You got it, Doug. Rock-a-bye, baby, in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, don't worry at all, because Geico did all the home insurance shopping for your dad and your mum and found the right coverage for you all.
Nice work, G. Not like a light.
Let Geico work for you. Get more with Geico.
The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Speedball Mike Bailey. You're listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. Yosh.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith and our social media manager, Emily. On today's show, we'll review Forbidden Door and cover all latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping a Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Chop Tea store, chop-cheese.com/KI Strong Style. That's where you can get your official Keeping a Strong Style merchandise. There's free shipping on every order and 10% off your first order. That is chop-cheese.com/KI Strong Style. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on, actually, we are not streaming live because I did not press the button. Now we are streaming live on patreon.com/KI Strong Style for IWGP subscribers. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, you can sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Josh, Emily, how are you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to hear that we are live now.
So we weren't streaming live, but you recorded the intro at least, correct?
Yes. So for video watchers, they miss the awesome intro. But
that's okay. I've been told that most people just skip through that 2 minutes of you talking to get to the good shit. So I'm not surprised.
Oh my God.
Well, Emily, welcome to the show. Like we've mentioned for a couple weeks now, Emily has taken over our social media. She's been killing it with Twitter and Blue Sky. And so, yeah, great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Well, I've been Gen Zing up the socials, so I thought I have to make sure there's brand synergy and actually come on the podcast, so make sure it all matches.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
I found it funny. You tweeted out that you were at Forbidden Door, and somebody was like, "Y'all are here."
I felt so bad. I was like, "How do I put them down gently and let them know that it's just me? It's nothing exciting."
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like the amount of people that would be jazzed if we were there is like literally like 1, 2. It's not a huge, it's not gonna be the catastrophe you think it might be.
One person's feelings still matters.
They matter, yeah.
They matter. They're valid. And I'm sorry to them for getting them too excited.
So, Jeremy, I know we have a rundown and everything like that, but before we jump into it, because I know we always throw this stuff at the end of the show, and we probably still will, but Emily, you're one half of the creator of the Paulden Lovers. And I see something going on as well with like Joshi Go. So like, give us your plugs. Tell us what you got going on online before we start things.
This was one thing I didn't prep. So you've really thrown it at me already. Yeah, I write. I'm a writer first and foremost on Medium. I have a link tree in my Twitter. It's at MBStar. It's EMBE, and then star. I'm gonna assume you know how to spell that. Yeah. So I'm a writer first and foremost. I've also started this thing with Joshi Gio. It's called Captain Dropkick. So it's a publication where I put my stuff on, and then for him, it's a production for his like edits and things like that. We're probably gonna start streams at some point soon. It's been a very slow start, but something is coming probably in the next few weeks. And yes, I made Paulden Lovers partly, which is partly why I'm here as well. So.
It's literally the reason you're here. There probably wouldn't. We would not have connected with you to do the socials if it hadn't have been for Paulden Lovers, because we wouldn't have known to ask you about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I brought the sign when we met up, so I had my reference sitting there. I was like, yes, you can hire me. Like, here's why. And I just had to point towards it. So that was helpful.
Yeah, the Paul and Lover stuff has been great, and I'm sure by now, if you listen to this show, you've probably seen the Paul and Lovers make their debut on your timeline at some point. So yeah, that's been great stuff.
One other off-topic thing. Do you know Trish Spears from our network?
Yeah, I'm aware of her.
Okay, I just didn't know because you guys are both in the UK, and I know it's not like super close, but I just wasn't sure if you guys had ever interacted.
Yeah. No, I think she was at the All In after party, right?
Yes, she was. Yeah.
Yes. So I gave her a quick wave and smile, and that's what we got.
The main reason I ask is I know she's gonna be listening to the show. If you write, she may. I don't know. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but maybe. I know we're always looking for people to write for the
newsletter.
For the newsletter. Which, by the way, we don't plug that enough. If you guys are listening. How often do we do? Is it every week or every other week, Jeremy?
It's every other week, so it's supposed to be the off weeks to the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast episodes. So yeah, if you go to socialsuplex.com, there's the newsletter tab there. The current newsletter will always be on the front page of the website. You can also subscribe via email. Anytime a new one comes out, you'll get an email. And also you can join our Discord. We have a channel for the newsletter in there as well, where Trish drops the newsletter and all the updates there as well. So great stuff that they're doing there. Trish, Tim, and everybody's contributing to that, writing for that. And so, yeah, it's great stuff.
No, it's really good. I would, if she asked, I would write, but I want her to be aware I'm a very slow writer. So if she wanted me to do it for the next edition in 2 weeks, I can't get that done. I can do one in 2 months' time.
Well, I can't really speak to her for what they're looking for, but maybe there's a connection there. You're part of the Social Suplex family now, so you never know.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
And Emily, every time we have a first-time guest on the show, we like to get their New Japan history and background. So when did you start watching New Japan Pro Wrestling?
This is where my horrible long-term memory comes in, because I have no idea. I don't know. It just one day it appeared. No, I do know that I started reading about it before I started watching. I would check the website every couple weeks and just read match results, because I didn't know how to watch for free, because I'm a cheapskate and I didn't want to pay.
So were you watching wrestling in general before? Fine.
Yeah. So I've always watched wrestling my whole life. So I was just reading about New Japan every couple of weeks. I'd Google it. I'd be like, did they have a show? I don't know. And then I just read match results, and then eventually I figured out other ways of watching, and we took it from there.
She pulled an old Pirata Morgan. She's sailing the high seas.
Yes, of course.
Paul Burchill out here.
Yeah. So Joshua's taken me away from the high seas by gifting me his New Japan subscription. That's very nice.
Yeah, but I haven't really seen you watching. It shows me when people watch stuff, and you haven't watched it.
No, I haven't seen a lot. I watched half the G1, and I was like, that's fine.
Oh man.
And if you go and look at what I'm looking at, it's all Tanahashi from 05, 06, 07. That's pretty much all you're gonna see on there.
I'll be in there for 2018 Golden Lovers pretty soon, so don't worry about it.
Nice. So who's your favorite New Japan wrestler? I guess either current or past since you've been watching.
See, if I say the current one, are people going to turn the podcast off?
Nope. You might get judged, but I don't think they'll turn it off.
Okay. That's fine, as long as we're not losing listeners. But I'm a big Shota fan right now. I'm sorry. Apologizing already.
Anybody that's on your social media or in our Discord, they already know this. So this is not a...
Yeah, I suppose. I've eased people into it a little bit. But yeah, any of the young guys, really. I like Goto. I like Zack as well. Tanahashi, I suppose.
Nice.
I say I suppose. That sounded really rude. I meant it genuinely.
Just the guy who saved the company from the Dark Ages. I guess he's fine.
I wasn't around for then. I don't care.
That sounds like me, like in 2017, be like, Naito, I suppose. I don't know.
And then your favorite New Japan match.
Yeah, I didn't want to be basic and say like, oh, it's one of the Kenny Okada ones. So I've decided to cheat, and I'm just going to give you two.
Okay.
Because they're also basic though, so I didn't really help myself. Like, I'm gonna go for Kenny and Naito, the G1 semifinals. Okay. I prefer that to the finals.
You know what's funny? Me and Rich have this conversation a lot. We both agree with you, even though it's not a popular opinion. We think that the semifinal match is better than the final match.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about them, but I remember
wait.
for the semis.
Which one's which? The semifinal was the first one.
Yeah.
Oh no, we are the opposite.
Never mind then.
we like the finals. We like the second match in the trilogy better.
I mean, I like them both, but I remember preferring the semis.
All of their matches are fantastic, and yeah, I think that's one of those where it's like they're so close. They're both like match of the year contender quality.
Yeah, it's probably one of the first New Japan matches I watched, so that's probably why it sits there in my head. And then the second one I'll give you is Tanahashi and Ibushi from the G1 finals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Incredible match.
Yeah.
That one's incredible.
Yeah, I do love that one.
Well, nice to get to learn your favorites there, how you got into New Japan. So, and another big reason you're on this show is because you were at Forbidden Door live. So we're going to get your live perspective in the building. And we have a couple questions here for you. Doc says, how was the train ride to London? Did you see any sights, get any mementos, any scran? What is scran?
Scran is food.
Okay.
Like good food. So I got on the train in my hometown, and it was a train that goes all the way to London. But the rail system is so bad that it was actually cheaper for me to get off at Edinburgh and go to the airport and then get on a flight to London.
What?
So that's what I did. The train that was going to London, I got off it in the capital city instead, and then proceeded to get on a flight and then get on another train into London. So the train was fine, I suppose. The flight it's Ryanair, so it's like, it is what it is. Sights, yeah, because I go like to London like once or twice a year. I was just there like 3 weeks ago. So I kind of just did a speed run of all the sites in the one evening that I got there. So it was fine. Mementos, no. I got my mum a souvenir because she wanted one. And Scran, I ate at Chinatown. I got some Korean food, and it was very good.
Nice. You know, often the UK, Europe is often criticized for its food or maybe lack of food. What would you say are like, if somebody's going to Europe, they're going to London, Scotland, what are the places that people should look for to get good food?
Oh God, I don't know. If you're going to London, go to Chinatown, because it's not English food, at least. That's the thing. Scottish and English food is quite different. Mm-hmm. So I agree that English food is bad. But like Scottish food is fine. Like we have haggis, we have tablet, we have lots of heavy foods because it's so cold here. We eat lots of like heavy food so we can just hibernate and we don't have to go out very often. So yeah, if you like that, if you like food that makes you very full, then you'll be okay here.
You know, I grew up like watching Anthony Bourdain, and he like trained in culinary in England, and like I've seen plenty of really good English food, and I feel like if I was there, I'd be able to like find the good spots where the good food is instead of like, because I see these like photos that the wrestlers send, and I'm like, man, that is piss poor what
they're awful. I think someone's pranking them and like taking them to awful places on purpose.
The other thing too is there's so many implants from like all over, you know, a lot of like what's the word? Like people from other countries. I'm tired because I've been working all day, but there's plenty of like international like food that you can find in the UK, especially like Jeremy. I know that when you were in the UK, you said that like Ricky and them, they took you to a really good Indian spot, that sort of thing.
Yeah, in Glasgow, in Scotland. So yeah,
in Scotland.
Yes,
okay.
Because the tikka chicken masala curry was invented in Glasgow. So there's lots of good Indian food there.
Okay, nice. You know, speaking of, what was the term you Scran. Okay. Yes. Yeah. When we were at All In, was it All In that we were at? Yeah, All In.
In Texas?
You said that, yeah. But I am so like, I literally like jumped off like a call and it came on here. So I'm just like, I'm so tired. But you mentioned something about moots. You're like, oh, I'm talking to some moots. And then I'm like, oh, that way. Yeah. I like had to Google that. I'm like, what the fuck is a moot?
Yeah, a moot or like a oomph.
What the fuck is an oomph?
It's like one of my mutual followers, I think is what it stands for. So yeah.
When I saw moot, I was thinking like some sort of like knucklehead, like street youth, like, you know, like that sounds like something from like, yeah, it sounds like something from like The Sopranos, like, hey, it's a moot. Like, I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, that's what I was doing before I came and met. I was talking to gangs outside.
Nice. Yes, and that's been another benefit of having Emily on the team. She can teach us all the Gen Z lingo.
Yeah, get you up to speed with the real world.
Another question for you here, Emily, from Takazi in Discord says, how did it feel to be on a bus and inside a building the only sunny day of Scotland in your life?
Yeah, well, I don't really like the sun, so it was fine. It wasn't a problem for me because I was born in the cold. I can't deal with the heat. I like it when it's bright out because I'm less depressed because it's not like gray and cloudy all the time. But when I was in the queue to get into the hydro for Dynamite, it was too hot. I was sweating and I was miserable. So I was actually very glad to go inside the building. The bus, not so much. The bus was a bit hot and stinky.
She pulled a Bane from Batman. She's like,
I do.
She's like, you've merely adopted the cold. I was born in it.
I do. My friends call me albino. My parents call me the daughter of darkness. Like, I don't like the sun. It's why I'm so pale. Like, I don't enjoy being in it.
So how did you deal with Texas?
I didn't. I really struggled. Yeah, dealing with it is maybe not the word I would use. I was just there.
She survived it.
Yeah, just got through it.
This is like the most we've ever had a non-wrestler be on the show talk about making towns.
Yeah, Emily did a big whole trip here to the States. You went all over. You came here to Florida. Yeah. Where else did you go when you were here?
So I drove from well, I didn't drive. My friend drove from Texas to Florida. So we had a night in New Orleans as well.
Oh, nice.
So I was there for about 5 weeks. No, I was there for 3 weeks. And then my friends came over here for 2 weeks. So that's why I was in London like 3 weeks ago. And I'm back again. And I'm back home again. So.
Man, world traveler.
Well, I know, because last year I was living in Japan. So it was like I moved back the same week as All In last year. So that's why I went last year with all my massive suitcases, my whole life packed into suitcases, going to Wembley.
Didn't realize you lived in Japan. How long were you living there?
6 months.
Nice.
I studied. Sorry?
Were you doing the internship there?
I studied at university there for a semester.
That's awesome. Did you go to any shows there?
I did, because the G1 finals were on my birthday.
Oh, that's
so on our birthday.
Yeah.
I suppose. But yeah, I was going to shows like every week because I had one day off, like during the week of uni, so I would just go to Cork and Hall on my days off.
That's awesome.
It was a pretty good life. I miss it quite a lot.
All right. Well, we got a Forbidden Door to talk about here today, and then we'll got some news items to jump into. So this was the 2025 edition of the show. We'll talk about the 0 Hour, and I think this was probably a lot of Forbidden Door stuff, more Forbidden Door style matches on the 0 Hour here. Show opened up. We had the junior champion El Desperado teaming up with Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. In the Heat Storm, Yuya Uemura, they defeated Crew and the Don Callis family team of Hechicero and Josh Alexander in 12 minutes and 13 seconds. Any quick thoughts on this opening match?
Surprised they put this first on the pre-show. I thought maybe it would go second last because there was maybe only 25% of people in their seats by the time it started. But still very loud, I suppose.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a good crowd all night. So you would say a good energy even at the start of the pre-show here.
Yeah, definitely.
I did not catch a majority of the pre-show. I just felt like it's gonna be a long show anyways, you know. So
you were already over it before it started.
I mean, the one thing I will say though is that I think the one standout in this match is Yuya Uemura being used on the pre-show. I mean, I think him and Desperado, there's an argument there too, and I feel like there is this sort of like, you know, sort of attitude that there are no viable stars whatsoever in New Japan that are on the level to promote. And I'm not saying you can build the whole entire show in the UK around Desperado and Yuya Uemura, but I do think that those are two like cachet guys that could have definitely been used on the main card. And I think I don't want to say like too strong a word and be like, this is bullshit, but it does feel like a misjudgment to have them in this particular spot.
Yeah, I think you could have just put this match on the main show, to be honest. Because with the pops that Despy and Yuya got from, like, again, only 25% of the crowd, if you had just moved this to open the show, because this is really, like, a match like this is the spirit of Forbidden Door. And this should be, like, your meat and potatoes of the show. Kind of is like these all-star tags with just like random people put together. So I think you could have had this as the opener instead of the pre-show opener.
Which women's match would you boot off the main show?
I would boot Adam Copeland. He's not even going to the pre-show either. He's just going. He's not going anywhere.
Work for him. That's not going to work for Edge, brother. Listen, while we're on the topic, we never get to talk about this, but like me and Jeremy have been at several AEW shows now where Edge has come out and, the All In one was another one, but like we were also at the one where he made the big return in
World's End.
World's End. And every time the reactions that he gets, I'm just so shocked because I'm like looking around and I'm like, it's Edge, bro.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Like, don't get me wrong. I like Edge. I'm a fan of Edge. But, like, this reaction, I'm like, it's just Edge. Like, this reaction is not warranted in 2025. I'm still so shocked by it. I don't get it.
I think it's just the song. I don't know.
He's an entrance merchant.
Yeah, because then the bell rings and it's like, oh, do we actually care? Like, I'm like, I don't think we do.
it's just that, good old nostalgia feeling. It's like, it's Edge, it's, the guy from the Brood, it's, the Radar superstar. Yeah, it's just, good old childhood. And then, the bell rings and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I don't really see the point.
Yeah. I thought this was a fun matchup, and I agree. This is something that could have been on the main card, and, I understand maybe, putting a guy like Uemura on the pre-show because of G1, and you couldn't really build a TV program with him, but Desperado, the juniors weren't doing anything on this tour. I don't know exactly what he was doing the last couple of months. He could have easily flown him in and have him do several weeks of TV and build some kind of program or matchup with somebody. But, I don't even think you need a ton of like storylines for this show. It's, hey, here's the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, El Desperado. I don't know, throw him in there with Darby Allin, have a death match. Like, that sells itself.
Yeah, the heart and spirit of this show has always been the idea that it's cross-promotional between New Japan and AEW. And if it's not going to be something where that is emphasized, I am totally okay and open with them embracing the idea of bringing in more stars from their partners, like they talked about, like CMLL and Rev Pro and what have you. But even that was a lot less pronounced than what they proclaimed it was going to be. But with that all being the case, if there was ever a show where you don't necessarily need a lot of background story leading into it, this is that show. Many of the first couple shows that they did, or the first few, they had a few marquee matches, but there was plenty of crossover mixed tag matches that worked and were critically acclaimed and worked to get guys over. And the last thing I'll say about this point is, the criticism that there isn't big enough, and I already touched on this a little bit, but I want to reemphasize it, like the idea that there's nobody worthy of bringing over onto the main card from New Japan is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because am I saying that you should put, I don't know, say Yota Tsuji in the main event against, Adam Page for the world title? No, I'm not like going that bold and saying you need to like forsake everything you've built in the lead up to the pay-per-view. That's not true. But if the tickets were already sold, right? Mm-hmm. And they already drew the house, what does it actually hurt from a pay-per-view standpoint if you were to incorporate a few of the top guys from New Japan into the overall show, on a show that is literally being proclaimed as a crossover show between these two companies? Like, that's the appeal of it. And you're not giving, I'm sure like the AEW and Western fans don't care as much, so it's like less of a emphasized thing for them, but it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if you're not willing to expose your audience to these guys, how can they get over on your product if you're not willing to even showcase them?
Yeah, I think a perfect example of that was a few years ago with Clark Connors in that 4-way match. Like, he was a replacement for Ishii, I think it was, and the AEW crowd was not really familiar with Clark Connors. He went out there, he got super over in that 4-way just from that one match, in that one appearance. So I think, exposing the New Japan talent, even if they're not super well known, you can do it. Throw them in a 4-way, throw them in some kind of tag match, and you could, expose them and help get them over.
Yeah, I think people expected a lot more All-Stars tags, especially for people that watch AEW TV, and that's become such a common thing. You're getting kind of like one every show. Mm-hmm. So then to sort of go to the Forbidden Door pay-per-view where it's cross-promotional, you can do all these All-Stars with multiple promotions, and you just don't. It's kind of like, oh, okay.
I think it's because they're beholden to the idea that the hooks for a lot of what's drawing people are these storylines. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say like there's no room for them to tell their stories and everything, but this particular show in general is more based on dream matches and crossover appeal, and it doesn't necessarily need to center fully around, the storylines that they built, even the short-term ones that they did in the last like week or two. Like, this is one of those rare times where we're going to be like, the build is less important to what you're putting on the marquee and what you're putting on the bill.
Yeah. I have a couple questions here. So Joshi Gio says, where do we go from here with Yuya Uemura, and how would you guys book him going into Wrestle Kingdom?
Tag league with Tanahashi, probably.
You want Tanahashi to do another long tour?
Oh, because he's definitely saying, oh, guys, I don't want to do the World Tag League. You know he's asking to do it. So if Yuya is his retirement match.
Who would he ask? He's the president. Is he talking to
exactly.
himself?
Yeah, he's talking in the mirror and he's going, I want to do World Tag League.
The devil on the shoulders, yes, do World Tag League.
Yeah.
I
know the angel on his shoulders also like, do World Tag League.
And his knees were like, don't do.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, the conversation is with him and his knees. He's like, boys, do you think we can do it? They're like, no, and he's like, we're doing it anyways. Oh man. With I think what you said is actually a realistic possibility. What if it were up to me though? I do think Yuya Uemura needs to be booked into a prominent position, and not just a special singles match, but something with actual stakes, So I'll throw out, I don't have a specific one in mind, but I'll throw out a few different ideas. Like, I think you could put him in the Rambo, provided he won the Rambo and was thus going to get a world title match and walk into Corkin to set up the February title defense that they have going. That's a realistic option. I think something else you could do is build him to challenge for probably, I would say the white belt. At this point, I don't think that it would be appropriate to. I think he's a guy that shouldn't be contending for the Never or the TV title, unless you want to put him in there with like Tanahashi as Tanahashi's final opponent. I don't know if that makes sense. They've already had their matches. There's also, I don't know, him and Takeshita could headline. I think that we are at a position where these are the sorts of things you need to be doing with a guy like Yuya Uemura, is like putting him in one of the top 2 title spots, or putting him in a match that with a top legend, or putting him in a match that's going to give him a title challenge on the next show.
Yeah, I think that the global title route would be a good option for him. Cause I don't think that they're going to run back like Gabe Kidd or Tsuji versus each other at the Dome. So I think that would be a good option, depending on if Gabe gets past Shingo. I mean, if Shingo wins, Shingo, Yuya would be great, or you just do Gabe, Yuya, and then maybe you have Yuya beat Gabe at the Dome and get the win there. So yeah, I definitely think that Yuya, again, we've been saying it over and over again, the young guys seem to be pushed in prominent spots, and especially come this Wrestle Kingdom. Like, this is a very, I think, pivotal card for New Japan. His Tanahashi's last one, and that's the last real like legend, guy from the golden era that you can rely on. And like, if they don't get these young guys over, like, these numbers are not going to continue to look well. We also had a question from MJ. He says, how do you think Yuya looked in front of a real major league crowd?
Can't tell if that's like a shot or if he's just being because I don't know this. I know the name, but I don't know what the tone is behind it. If they're just like actually asking earnestly, or if they're trying to troll here.
Sounds pretty sassy to me. I don't know. Yeah, good. I mean, it wasn't like, again, it was like only a quarter of the crowd were inside, but it was still a very large pop, and people were very invested and happy to see him wrestling. So good.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he looked good.
I didn't see this, Matt. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
Yes, I thought he looked good. He got the win with the deadbolt suplex. So, I mean, that was a good thing. And again, yeah, for not the full crowd being in there, it was a pretty noticeably loud reaction. I know he's done some work in the UK before, but yeah, I mean, I thought he looked good.
I would say this, even though I didn't see this match, I didn't hear the reaction, I can't speak to that. The idea that Yuya has never worked a big show in a big match is just not true. So I've seen him in front of a large audience and in front of a real major league crowd, and I feel like he generally rises to the occasion.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll also say is I do think it's surprising that of all the Reiwa guys, domestically speaking, he's the only one that was chosen to be brought over. Like we've heard about Suji kind of boycotting the show. There was no Shooter, which is a little surprising just considering his connection to the company and to Mox. And, you know, you think like someone like, in the UK, and there's no Oiwa. So these are some of the younger guys that you would think hypothetically could have been used and they weren't. And then Yuya is only on the pre-show.
Yeah. So next matchup, we had the Gates of Agony and Ricochet defeating the Jet Speed team of Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey, and they teamed up with Michael Oku from Rev Pro. Most notable thing about this match is Michael Oku almost died. Emily, what was your reaction there when Oku took that big pounce over top rope?
I was busy looking at Amira's nice dress. And then I heard like an audible gasp and I was like, what? And he was kind of splat on the ground. But my brother had taken a video on his phone, so he very nicely showed me in like 360p what had taken place. And yeah, it looked quite nasty.
Because it was 360p.
Yeah, that's why I hurt my eyes.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy bump there. Yeah, one wrong turn, and that could have been the last bump for Michael Oku, but seems like he's okay. And I know there's been a lot of rumors about him potentially joining AEW for a couple of years now. So another spotlight moment here for him. Not sure if that means anything going forward for him. Then following that, we had Megan Bayne teaming up with the Triangle of Madness, Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla. And they defeated Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, Queen Aminata, and Willow Nightingale. Any thoughts on this one?
Have you guys ever seen the movie Triangle of Sadness?
No.
It's not the Triangle of Madness, but if you've never seen Triangle of Sadness, big recommend.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, this is really good. Obviously, it's a shame Stardom just finished their 5-star the day before, so a lot of people were not available. CMLL, I don't really know. I guess they weren't available, or they just didn't bother bringing anybody. But if you're an AEW watcher, you know this feud has been going on for a very long time. So I'm hoping we get a Blood and Guts or women's tag titles or something out of it, something that's long overdue.
Yeah, there's been rumors that TK already has the women tag titles made and just kind of waiting for the right time to launch that tournament and get that going. And yet there also been rumors, of a women's Blood and Guts. And yeah, they've kind of been building up these two sides, especially with Tekla and Queen Aminata have been running it. And we would see them later on in the show continuing to brawl throughout the arena. So, yeah.
I swear to God, nobody in the history of wrestling promoting loves making title belts more than Tony Khan. It's not. This isn't even like one of those things where it's like, oh, there's too many titles, which I do agree with that. But it's more like, how many redesigns has he done of title belts since like he just likes to make them. I think he's one of those dudes who like had the video game, and you know how you can make the custom belts yourself. Like he likes them. That's just what he does. That's why there's so many titles.
I mean, I love that for him. Like, as long as he's enjoying himself, that's all that matters.
I think he is.
Then the main event of the pre-show, we had the AEW World Trios title match. We had the Ops defending the titles against the Bullet Club War Dogs, Clark Connors, Drill Money, and Robbie X.
Gato was here, and I was very excited.
Yes, the terrorist Gato is in the building.
Yeah. He made the trip with his hat and his little vest.
Why were you excited to see Gato?
I don't know. He just makes me laugh.
Yeah,
like, he'll just do anything, and I'll just laugh.
Gato is pretty funny. If you just pay attention to stuff he does on the outside and stuff he says, it's hilarious.
Yeah, some of my favorite moments from the pandemic was sitting watching Jay White's G1, and you can't hear anything because there's no crowd noise, and all you can hear in the background is "Show me the kiwi." From Gato,
Kiwi Jay.
Kiwi Jay, show me the kiwi. Like, that's all I remember from the pandemic is Gato shouting, "Show me the kiwis." So,
It sounds like very inappropriate almost. Like there's a double meaning there. Remember when Jay White wasn't around for a long time, and every single time like Gato would get on camera and be like, "I miss you, King."
Yeah. Oh man.
I love him so much.
So, what are your thoughts on this 6-man?
It was good. Shibata got a lot of time with his old students in the beginning, so I think that was like the most exciting part for New Japan people. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, nice hard-hitting matchup. I really enjoyed Samoa Joe and Drilla Maloney mixing it up there in the ring, and yeah, I thought the War Dogs looked really good. Had some great triple team combos, but of course they were not going to overpower the Ops, and so it was a trios win, which I wish they would do more trios defenses like this, where the Ops are just defending against kind of cool trios teams.
They just seem like decorations sometimes, the trios belts. It's like, do we remember that these can actually be used?
Yeah, it's not like New Japan where we have real trios titles that actually matter.
Obviously.
Yeah, and also it's weird because like on Dynamite they faced off against Los Ingobernables, whatever they're called, Rush's group, and that was a non-title match. And this was a title match.
I'm like, what is going on? Like, I think they just forgot.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, we can put these on the line. Like, these can be defended if we want.
Yeah. So yeah, Ops got the win. Samoa Joe, Muscle Buster on Robbie X. So then we had
I do want to say this. I did too. So this was the point of the show where I was trying to find a way to display what was on my phone onto the big screen. So I did see some of this stuff, and I was just struggling really hard to figure out how to cast from the app I was using. Eventually, I was able to figure it out using the HDMI cord, but I did see a little bit of this match, and I thought Robbie X was Johnny Hungy. And I was like, good for the Dark Order, man. They're back. They're like rising back up. This guy was, poised to be a big star. He was getting all those crowd reactions, and Tony Khan missed the boat with him. And I'm glad that they got him back out there, And then I realized like, oh, that's not. And in fact, what's his name? Like, it's not even Johnny Hungy. What's his real name?
John Silver.
Yeah, it's not John Silver. It's Robbie X. So I felt bad. I just.
I would have preferred it if it was Johnny
Both
Hungy.
guys are bald. You would have preferred it?
Yeah, but sometimes Robbie just be doing too much.
We don't see him enough. Like, we've only really been exposed a little bit by, because I don't watch Rep Pro like that. Or
me either.
I
didn't watch him that.
So you've only seen him as much as us, and you think he's doing too much?
I think I've watched him like when I had to go to when I went to the Red Pro anniversary shows before Wembley. Like, I see him there, and every time I watch him live, I'm just like, you're doing too much. It's just it's too much.
Here's the thing: you gotta be careful, Emily, because there's a very good chance he could be listening.
I'm being honest. You need someone to tell him, like, one too many twirls. Like, it's okay.
No, I think it's the right amount of twirls.
Okay, all right. Do more twirls.
Do
I'm
more
sorry,
flips.
Robbie. Sorry, I don't stand on business, actually. I'm sorry, Robbie. You should do more twirls.
Oh, man.
If it was up to Jeremy, there'd be a lot more twirls in wrestling.
Yeah, I do like twirls. I don't know.
Anytime somebody goes on the ropes, I'm like, do a flip.
Let me see that sky twister.
Yes. Oh, man. So let's talk about the main card here. So the show opened up. We had Big Cope, Adam Copeland, and Christian Cage reuniting for the first time since 2011 in a tag match, and they defeated the Matriarchy team of Kill Switch and Kip Sabian with Mother Wayne in 13 minutes and 46 seconds.
There was one thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was 7 years old in 2011. I'm done with 90s and early 2000 callbacks in my wrestling, please. I don't remember. I don't want to remember. I want it to be over.
There was one good thing about this match, and it wasn't Adam Copeland, and it wasn't Christian. and it wasn't Kill Switch, and it wasn't Kip Sabian. I think we all know what I'm saying here.
Oh man.
What did Kip bleed on? Because I was up in the rafters with Sting, so I didn't. It's where I'm like, I don't know what happened.
I didn't catch it. Like the camera just went to him when he was on the apron, and he suddenly had a shiner and hard way. So and also the commentary seemed to also not know where it came from. I didn't pinpoint it, and I didn't feel like the need to go back and find out and rewind it. Jeremy, did you catch that?
No, yeah, it was literally he took a bump and then he got up and he was bleeding. So
the moment that I turned the show on, because I finally got it to stream right as this match was starting, and Kip Sabian and Adam Copeland were in the ring, and I was like, oh, Edge versus Dolph. That's what we got here right now. It really is 2010 again.
Yeah. I think Cope should have worn a turtleneck. That maybe would have gotten me a little bit to care. I just didn't care.
I mean, the one thing I will say is I thought it was the story of the match. Obviously, I'm not like following AEW week to week. I've been keeping up with what's been going on with Copeland and Cage, and it seems like they kind of rushed the reunion, but they are still not fully together. It's more like we have history together, so this situation works out where we're gonna partner together. The full reunion is still on its way, but a lot of people don't like the fact of how rushed this actually came about. But I did think it was interesting how Kill Switch and Kip Sabian are not on the same page, and there was like this strange bedfellows aspect going on with these two teams that don't entirely jive in the opening match. And for me, I liked that because I was like, Kill Switch was the guy that was like gonna get over. I don't know where he's been. I didn't know he was gone, but I remember that injured. Like, he had the issue with Christian where Christian was calling him his dog and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, Christian's going face. This is terrible timing for Kill Switch, because now he's going to get pigeonholed into a heel situation. So that sucks. But then when they like carried it out and like kept him strong as a baby face and still kept the beef between him and Christian, I felt like that was a good example of some long-term actual storytelling that they do in the company. So that part was good.
Yeah, and I think that Christian's been doing a great job in this kind of feud and kind of sticking with his character. I think a lot of people were worried that he was going to go away from All In and come back and be wearing, come back with the kazoo and, them doing the whole 5-second pose. But yeah, he's still been the same character he's been, and it's kind of been a very slow, hey, we're not friends, but we have common enemies right now, so we'll do this just because we have common enemies. And, Cope's trying to hug him, after Christian tried to like end this man's career. Cope's like, all right, buddy.
I thought that part was really fucking stupid where he was like trying to force the hug at the end. I'm like, that's,
yeah.
You want to tell this guy to go find himself. Find your character, dude. What's your motivation? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like this dude had like a barbed wire spike thing that was like, he was trying to end your career and like break your neck. And like,
bro, I was out at eating sushi with my dad during his birthday. I think that's like back in March. And I was telling him that the plan was for these guys to get back together. My dad's like, that would never happen. He tried to kill him with spite.
Oh man!
I'm like, all right, Dad.
Yeah, I appreciate Christian's consistency, despite Cope's inconsistency.
Christian is legitimately, without like watching week to week, he's always consistently one of the best things in the company. Even if the nostalgia aspect of it is wearing itself out, he's kind of like Jericho in a lot of ways, where he always finds a way to get over. He always finds a way to stay fresh and work with like new guys. And for his age, he's one of the few guys at his age that is still working so consistently high level.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Josh, I agree with what you said about Kill Switch / Luchasaurus. And yeah, I think there's clearly a big, bay face turn and run for him. And clearly, there are going to be issues with, Nick Wayne being out on injury and Mother Wayne kind of being in charge and trying to get Kip Sabian and Kill Switch on the same page. So I don't think that's going to last long, and I'm sure that we'll get a babyface run for Kill Switch. So a lot of interesting stuff kind of planned here in this opening match.
Well, here's where I'll get my last actual dig, because I've been very complimentary, but I am telling you right now, they will not fucking succeed in pushing Kill Switch. They don't have the good creative to make that work. And I think there's a lot of examples of big men of his ilk who just have floundered in this company when they try to move them into that babyface pushed role. That it's not going to work, just like it didn't work with Wardlow or Archer or any other number of like big guys, Brian Cage. Like they might have the like plans in place, but it's not going to happen. This is not a guy who will be contending for titles.
Well, speaking of titles, we had a title match next. We had the AEW TNT title as Kyle Fletcher defended the title against the ticking time bomb Hiromu Takahashi.
I think this was one of my favorite matches on the show.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. They both played their roles very perfectly. It was quite 50-50 chant-wise. And then when you got to that kick out at 1, it just went 100% to Hiromu. Everyone was like, well, never mind. We don't like you, Kyle. We don't want you winning this at all. We don't care. And people really bit on that, not to skip too far ahead, but people really bit on that roll up right at the end. Everyone was like, wow, Hiromu might actually be winning this here. Yeah, I think they just both played babyface and heel very well, and it was really good.
Yeah, you can't skip ahead. You have to give the exact play-by-play and how it happened.
I couldn't see from that high up. Okay, I just see the start and the end. That's it.
Did they not have a big screen that you guys could watch while you're...
They did, but it was like one was covered up by all the rigging, and then the other one was like right beside me, so I'd have to like lean all the way, and that didn't really seem worth it.
Okay.
So I just kind of struggled looking downward instead.
So we brought you onto the show to give us your expertise advice, and you couldn't see any of it.
No. Well, the cage match, the Big Tron, they put the cage match on the Big Tron because they understood a lot more people weren't going to be able to see that.
So this was more a vibe show for you than anything else.
I did, yeah. Someone asked me, they were like, but Emily, you can't see. And I said, vibes more than ability to see. I'm like, I'm here for the crowd. I'm here to hang out, listen to some music, some entrance music. That's all I need.
Feel the pyro.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, man. Yeah, so I thought that this match was pretty good. Hiromu has not been as active in New Japan recently. He's kind of been doing some excursion type stuff. And it's really been interesting to see, like, how is he going to rebound from the dissolution of LIJ? And he hasn't, like, totally reinvented himself or anything like that, just like the rest of the quote-unquote unaffiliated guys. But there is an opportunity here for him to kind of figure out this new path that he's going to take as a character and as a performer. I felt like he had his working boots on here. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say like, oh, he worked a totally different style than he normally does. I felt like it was a little bit of a mixture of like, I'm going to work some of that heavyweight style that you guys saw last year against like, say, Hanare, but I'm still going to throw in some of the flashy flair that I've come to be known for. Obviously, he's not doing like the really dangerous death-defying stuff that he used to do in his younger days, but I think this happy medium works for him. Kyle Fletcher honestly is like just one of the tip-top like guys that is next in line, and when they say like he's probably a future world champion, I think that that's 100% accurate. And if everything keeps going the way it is, like he's one of those like blue chipper guys that's going to be the top of the company. And so, yeah, I thought this was really, really good. It wasn't like my match of the night. I would still put it in like probably the top 3, top 4, but I thought it was a really well worked match and the crowd was really into it. And, but you also knew Hiromu was never going to pick up this win, obviously.
Yeah, really enjoyable match, and I love kind of a little bit of storytelling with Hiromu developing the Time Bomb Q, his Time Bomb version for heavyweights, which he debuted out on Dynamite and then used here on Kyle Fletcher for a near fall. So kind of interesting development there, and hopefully that is
that the one where he tosses them like a almost like the attitude adjustment or the FU?
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay, because I noticed he did like something else, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?" I'd never even seen that.
So yeah,
I thought they called it. I thought they said Time Bomb 2, and I was like, "That's not the Time Bomb 2."
So now
it's the Q.
Yeah, because heavy Q in Japan.
The Q.
So he has the Time Bomb Q, Time Bomb 1, Time Bomb 1.5, Time Bomb 2, and was it? I think it was like a Super Time Bomb.
Don't forget about the D.
Yes, he did not give Kyle a D.
he hasn't busted that one out in many years. But he was doing the Hiromu roll for a while there.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a really fun matchup. He even busted out the sunset flip bomb to the outside, which he hasn't done in a very long time. That was
no one, and people never take it, or if they do, they like hold on for the longest time and then take the softest landing. And trust me, I get it. Like I would never want to take a bump on the floor from that height. But like Kyle Fletcher's a G. He like fucking took that for real.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Fletcher will take anything that you ask him to take.
What? Pause.
All right. Move on.
Oh, man. So Kyle gets the win. He hits the Brain Buster on Hiromu and retains the title. Then following that, we had the AEW TBS title 4-way match as 9 belts. Mercedes Moné defended the title against Alex Windsor, Bozilla, and Persephone from CMLL. 15 minutes and 31 seconds. What were the vibes for this match, Emily?
Vibes are good. Vibes were high. As much as I love Azumi, I'm glad she was not the Stardom representative. It seems like anytime it's Stardom, it's always Azumi for AEW. But she made it to the finals of the 5-star, then literally the day before. So she couldn't be there. So I think Bozilla was a lot of fun just because she was so different from all the other women in the ring. They did a lot of creative spots involving everybody, which is what I like about 4-ways. I hate 4-ways when it's just like you throw 2 people out the ring and then you have a singles match and then you throw someone out and it's another singles match. It's like, no, use the fact that there's 4 of you.
Like the cage match.
Okay, well, no. That's different. We'll get to that later. Bozilla will probably work here one day. So congratulations to her on her future job.
I didn't like that on a show called Forbidden Door promoted by New Japan and AEW. There was no New Japan representation in this match. Just my biggest issue.
Well, the strong women's champion was in the finals of the Grand Prix.
She was busy.
Well, I mean, that's a Stardom wrestler. I'm talking about bring on a New Japan wrestler, you know?
Where was
someone contracted?
Viva Van?
I was thinking like, I don't know, like Peter, Miho Abe, you know, that sort of thing. Call the Bullet Club babe.
Amber Gallows.
Maria Kanellis, somebody. But no, I thought that this was a pretty good 4-way. I thought it was pretty action-packed. And, you know, every single one of these women were very impressive. I've been a big fan of Persephone since I first saw her in January. Did she have a mask in January and then lose it since then? Is that?
No, I think she might have came out like an entrance gear, but she
always comes out with the mask and then takes it off.
I think sometimes.
Yeah, maybe.
See, I was a little lost on that because I felt like she wore a mask in January, but she wasn't wearing a mask here. So I'm like, what happened? Did she lose like an asbestos match? I don't know. But you know, she's pretty green, and I think she's pretty impressive for you know, her time in the business. The Alex Windsor thing is getting over. Obviously, Mercedes Moné is, you know, a huge star. She got one of the biggest pops of the night. But for me, the Bozilla thing, that might be literally the most standout thing of the entire show, because while the show was good, there weren't many things that you could point to and be like, wow, that was like something that you can point to and be like, that's going to matter a year from now. But the Bozilla thing, like, she really got over, and yeah, they're gonna poach her. She's gonna be working here very soon, unless she's inclined to go to WWE and they throw the bag at her. But she's probably not gonna be in Japan much longer after this.
Yeah, that's kind of the frustrating thing is I wish she was in Japan for a little bit because she debuted in Marigold instead. Moved to Stardom quite recently. And I just think another year or so would do her so much good in Japan. So I'm kind of hoping it's like, can we not poach her just yet? Give her a little bit more time, and then she'll be ready to go.
Yeah, hopefully Taro Okada has some kind of contract for her for at least the next year, hopefully. But yeah, I became a big fan of Bozilla on this night. Like I've seen her before. I've never seen a match though, so I was not familiar with her game, but I learned real quick. I was super impressed by Bozilla. Like, yeah, she got over instantly. She did a lot of cool moves. She was throwing all the girls around. Yeah, she was just a force to be reckoned with in this match, and just super unique style, and only 21 years old. And yeah, there's a lot that she can go from here. Yeah, hopefully she does get some more time in Stardom before she comes over to America.
Yeah, I will say, when you're in a British crowd, you can't go 2 seconds without hearing someone scream Windsor at the top of their lungs.
Windsor!
Yeah, I don't know how often the mic catches it, but it is just like from random pockets. You'll just hear the screams and just then laughter. We're just popping ourselves.
Yeah, that is hilarious. I popped at All in Texas the first time when she came out. I was like, that is hilarious.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And something I learned about Bozilla, apparently there's some kind of relation to Chono that she has.
Oh.
So
I don't know.
So Chono, because Zach, front of the show, Zach Porter was telling us on Sunday. So apparently Chono's wife is like from Germany, and she's German, and so there's some kind of family relation there that links her to Chono's wife or something like that.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So following that, we had the IWGP World Heavyweight title match. The champion Zack Sabre Jr. defends against Nigel McGuinness in 17 minutes and 1 second.
I have the connection. Her dad is Ulf Herman from the UK scene, but also in ECW in the late 90s. And I think that his sister is married to Masahiro Chono.
Okay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Emily, what are your thoughts on ZSJ versus Nigel?
I think it's funny that Zach came out to his original theme just for his remix to play at the end. Because they played the remix in Glasgow. And people didn't really, until like the actual name Zach came on the Tron, people were a bit like, what is this? They're like, I think I know this, but I'm not sure. So I think they wanted to make sure that didn't happen again. And they were like, let's just play his original theme when he comes out. Either that or it was a mistake. And they were like, oh shit, we played the wrong one.
Well, there was the one year where like he had just switched from Suzuki-gun and they played the old Zach music instead of the TMDK music.
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I think those are both extremely plausible because we've seen production snafus where they play the wrong music in AEW more than once. But it's also possible that like that current theme that he has, as much as I sort of liked it when it first came out, there's no denying that for wrestling purposes, it's a terrible theme song. And I've come to like accept this because it's super low energy and it's not the kind of music that a top guy would come out to that gets the crowd amped and reacting to them coming out.
There's no vibes for it. I don't know how to vibe to it.
I think it is a good, I think if they were to like just play the TMDK theme and then have it play as his victory song, that's not like they did here. It's not a bad way to go. It reminds me of like when, I don't know, well, this is before your time, Emily, but like Mick Foley, when he first was Mankind, he had intro music and then outro music, and the intro music was really ugly and deranged, and then the outro music was like very beautiful and like, you know, just, I don't know, I guess it played into like the dual nature of his deranged psychotic character at the time. So maybe that would work for Zach. I don't know.
Maybe. But the actual match itself, the crowd was a lot less 50-50 than I thought. I thought, because like Zach is, English as well, so I thought he'd have some support, but this crowd just wanted Nigel. It did, like, obviously people were supportive of Zach, and if he hit somebody, it's not like we were booing, we were all cheering, but it was like just chants for Nigel. There wasn't really much dueling chants, not as much as the TNT title earlier in the night. But I think Zach is like one of the MVPs of these Forbidden Door shows. He always has something good. He always has like match of the night contender at least. And yeah, that was all right. It was good.
Yeah, the top two guys for Forbidden Door are definitely Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. Like they're the two people that always deliver to the highest degree on the most consistent basis. What you're describing there, Emily, I like to call that the Rock Hogan syndrome. You would think that the guy who is a top star and well known is, and younger is going to be received well on the stage. But then that nostalgia guy comes in and you're like, oh shit, these people love him. They want him to win. We already litigated the whole, like, my issues with this match taking place in the first, how it occurred, whatever. We're past that. Now we're just talking about, like, it happened. Here it is. I don't love the idea that it was the fourth match on the card. I understand that, it couldn't necessarily be tip top billing, but I do think it probably should have been at least higher than the tag team titles. The fact that the unified title, the women's world title, the AEW world title, the tag team title, and the lights out steel cage all went above it is weird to me. It almost would have been better if you opened the show with this title match, because they've done that before, is like opened with world title matches, than to put it like at this spot. Like, this is not a great spot on the card by any standards. In terms of, go ahead.
I think, to be fair, I think the tag match was only after this as a way to sort of cool down, because I think they understood, like, oh, this is a big deal to the people here in London. They're going to go wild. They're going to need something afterwards where they can be like, okay, we can take a rest.
Did you feel like in the building that the reactions were that big, though?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I think so.
Well, that's good. I don't know if that necessarily for me came through on the screen, but I'll also be honest. I wasn't like enthralled or in love with this entire show, so some of the time this was like background noise for me. Like, I was, it was a Sunday. I was stretching. I was like doing some chores. It was on. It's there, but I thought that this match was about what you would probably expect from Zach and Nigel. I thought that Daniel Bryan on the commentary was really good, kind of giving context to both of their styles of work and kind of just adding that color, saying like, Zach is a jazz man, whereas McGuinness is a laid out tactician, and how they're different versions of work. I also liked the intro where they had like Marty Jones and
Johnny Saint
like play into this, and how the meaningfulness and the representation for like British wrestling. I thought that stuff was all really cool. And Nigel isn't as good as he once was, but for the fact of his time off and everything, the fact that he's still as good as he is very impressive. And I thought that this was a match that mattered for the local market. I would say I definitely liked this more than the Fletcher and Hiromu match, but not by like a whole lot. I thought it was pretty close. And I thought it was a solid match.
Yeah. And another, very good match on the card. I thought that also the styles meshed perfectly together, kind of a technical showcase. And yeah, it was very interesting that the crowd was so behind Nigel. And I think there is a great story there of him coming back after such a long time and people not thinking he would ever wrestle again and kind of relegate to this commentator role, and he's only had a handful of matches so far. But yeah, every time he comes back, the crowd's always super excited and pretty invested. And so I think there is an interesting story there with him, and I don't know if he is going to transition into doing more wrestling or if it's kind of just going to be a one-off thing. But I think there's a story you can tell of him trying to like maybe capture a world title one more time, and I think it'd be very fitting for him to be the ROH world champion one more time if he's going to jump back into full-time action. But yeah, I thought the match was good. A lot of great back and forth technical counters there, and then them exchanging the European uppercuts. And of course, Zach always he's gotten better at striking, but he does kind of fail in the striking game, and Nigel was able to kind of one up him there with the strikes. We did have Daniel Garcia on the outside. He came out. He was Nigel's second, and he was trying to push the rope towards Nigel to kind of help the rope breaks, and the ref wasn't playing that. And so they did kind of tease that Garcia might be would turn on him. And after the match, it seemed like he was going to run in and attack him, but he raised his hand. So they're doing a slow burn there with Garcia turning on Nigel. And they also teased Garcia versus Zach, which would be a great match also.
Yeah, I thought that the two things here, I didn't love the idea that Zach beat him with the O'Connor roll the way that he did. It just kind of, or was it even the O'Connor roll?
Sunset flip, or yeah.
It was a counter to the sunset flip, wasn't it?
Well, he had him in the sunset position. It was like a high stack on the sunset.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I didn't necessarily love that finish. It kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. It was a bit anticlimactic. I understand that it's the sort of thing you would see in World of Sport a lot of times, but keep in mind those matches were 2 out of 3 falls. So, and round based. So it's kind of different. I sort of thought Zach should tap him out, honestly. And the fact that he didn't was a little surprising to me, because to me, Nigel and him, yeah, it's a dream match, but it also should have been like a passing of the torch sort of moment from a, generational standpoint. And it came off more like, yeah, you got the best of me, but it could have gone either way. We're 2 equals. And it's like, they're not equals. Nigel's a guy who didn't wrestle for, like 15 years. And why would Zach struggle with him in that way? That seems weird to me. I also thought that the Daniel Garcia thing was a little convoluted, and I was kind of perplexed by that booking. Like, you have him out there and you're going to tease it, like, just fucking do it. Or if not that, they should have probably perhaps done something to set up the next title challenge for Zach, and neither of those two things happened. So it just felt weird. Yeah, I will say, I think this is the best Nigel's looked since coming back. I didn't really enjoy his match at Double or Nothing. I think it was just too long, and it just kind of exposed him too much weakness wise. So I think having Zach in there with him really helped. This is the best he's ever looked. I will say I did like the finish. I was going to say the opposite, because I think this match was so different from everything else on the card. So I think having it finished differently as well really helped it. Like, I think when we look back at this card this time next year, I think this is going to stand out very much from the rest of it. It's like, wow, yeah, that was so different. That was just very straight-laced. The rest of the show was quite lighthearted. And then I'd say, I think the Garcia turn was just too obvious to do. Like, I think, like, he took off his jacket and everyone was like, whoa, and then they didn't do it. And I was like, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it was just kind of too obvious. It was just, like, in your face. I felt like too much.
Yeah, it's kind of like the WWE subtlety hammer, like blinking a red light, like this guy's gonna turn.
Yeah.
He had the towel, like, oh, he's gonna throw a towel in. What's he gonna do? And so, in TK, I don't know, depending on how you feel his storytelling, sometimes I think he kind of goes too long with teasing, and sometimes he does just enough. So we'll see how long this will kind of play out. But I do think Garcia needs something different. He came back, he re-signed, was a babyface, had that MJF feud, and then kind of been floundering since then. So I think a heel turn would kind of reinvigorate him and kind of get him on the right track.
Yeah.
I do agree with you, Emily. I thought that this was the best that I've seen Nigel look so far. And, I'm not watching week to week like maybe you guys are. So for me, I just assumed that there was build prior to this between the teasing of Daniel's turn, and this, I thought that this was the fruition of some sort of storyline is the way it came off to me. If it's more like the genesis of it, that's a little different. But I also feel like you should do turns like that on big shows like this. And I felt like not like teasing it so hard, but not doing it was just like,
yeah, I'd say there was like,
why are you doing the tease? I don't know.
There was like 3 weeks of build, I want to say, because they had the 4-way to decide who wrestled Zach, and then Nigel won. Danny was upset, and then the next week Nigel asked them to be his second, or it was maybe the same week, and Danny's like, oh, I guess, like, I'm still sad, but I'll do it. So it was kind of like, oh, is it going to be a jealousy thing? Like, he'll ruin his moment.
One other thing I will say, and I had to double check on this. So the 2 major singles titles matches that Nigel has had, he got tapped out in both of them. So maybe that's why they didn't do this here, because he did get tapped out by both Lee Moriarty and Bryan Danielson. But I don't know. He should have tapped again, 3 times, whatever.
We have a question here from Joshi Gio. Do you think Takeshita beat ZSJ for the IWGP title? And if so, what would be the match to book at Wrestle Kingdom?
Yes, and I think Shooter should go double main, back-to-back Tokyo Dome main events. That's a joke. Please don't hurt me. Please don't come for me. I am joking. Should probably be Tsuji, right? I think if we didn't bother doing it for the G1 finals, we should do it for the Dome. But I don't know.
No, I agree with you. I think that that's the match that makes the most sense. But at the same time, I'm a little concerned about that whole thing, because it's like, is that a moment where you are just treating Takeshita like the short-term outside champion who is going to turn around and, coronate Tsuji? And it doesn't feel like that's the right time for this just yet. And then that does beg the question, who are you comfortable putting in there with Takeshita that is a big enough name who can really use the rub and the exposure, but also survive the fall and be okay from it? And, we're all lobbying for these young guys to be used in big spots, but I don't know if you want to sacrifice them at the altar of Takeshita. But there's clearly plans beyond just Wrestle Kingdom for Takeshita with New Japan. So I think it's a really tough call. I also think that since they are getting ready to build to Takeshita and ZSJ, I probably would have teased, even if you were going to have Takeshita come out on the show and still do his AEW angle, I would have done something on some level to tease that match, even if it was like Takeshita's just sitting at ringside watching him, or if there was a backstage segment where they bumped into each other, like something. But they didn't do any of that. They also could have had, if they wanted to build the Narita match, they could have had like a Narita. It could have been 10, 15 seconds of him just popping up on the big screen and then just talking some shit and that be that. But we don't have time. No
hands of torture allowed.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what? That's another thing. I do want to put that out there, because it was something we should have talked about last week. We forgot to. No cap. I did think that the response from Tony Khan, and well, it's not directly from him, but the quoted statement about why they didn't influence the G1 finals, and the fact that he's not a fan of Evil's work and that's why they've never come over. I thought that was really disrespectful and kind of out of line. I think that there's a much better way to navigate that question without having to bury one of the top talents of your, and me, I'm no fan of Evil. I don't like House of Torture, but that just seems so kind of childish and counterproductive to do that way.
Yeah, kind of weird. And who knows if it was exactly TK or if it was somebody else that floated that. But I mean, yeah, politically probably not the best statement to say about a partner's talent, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I thought it was really out of line. And I'm not saying it's like clearly from him, but I thought it was really out of line for real.
Could have maybe spent that time like promoting the fact that Takeshita was actually in the G1 finals rather than his opponent.
Yeah.
And that would have been more useful, I think.
Yeah. I would have had some more promotion about Takeshita winning the G1. I would have had him, like Josh said, do the walkout here instead of later on the show, do the big pop walkout with the trophy. Like, all right, here's the G1 winner. He's, aiming his shot for the title, and like you could have built up that match a little bit more. But it is what it is.
And we'll talk more about Takeshita here in a little bit.
Yeah, and as far as like who should face Takeshita at the Dome, I would go with Tsuji right now. I guess you can do like maybe Uemura, maybe I don't know, maybe somebody like Bolton. Maybe they've had some great chemistry, but I don't know. I feel like if I had to pick one guy who's ready today, right now, whether he's going to win or lose, I would go with Tsuji.
There is another possibility that I guess we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but I hadn't really fully thought of this. I'd seen someone in our Discord tease about this, and I just thought to myself, that's so fucking ridiculous. It's not going to happen. But now that we're here talking about it, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a real possibility this could happen. I think him and Okada could headline the Dome, because they're clearly building to him and Okada, right? There's this dissension in the Don Callis family, and the C2 is coming up, and you kind of have to imagine that like he might be involved in the C2, but he's also going to be IWGP champion most likely during that time frame. So like, what are the chances that like he loses in the C2 to Okada, and then that entitles Okada to get a world title shot at, Wrestle Kingdom? And I know for a lot of people listening, they're like, it's Okada and he wants nothing to do with this company, and they've interacted in no ways, even on these shows. And I get it. I hear what you're saying. But if there was a person that they would bring in, and if there was one spot that he would probably come and work, it would probably be Wrestle Kingdom in the main event for the world title, working Takeshita. Like that screams something to me where it's like, if you want to sell tickets and you don't have a healthy Naito or a healthy Tanahashi to do it, you might just bite the bullet and bring back Okada and pay him astronomical money to lay down for Takeshita, who is an AEW guy.
Yeah, I will say, and people can shout at me if I'm wrong, I think Takeshita was international champion last year when the C2 came around, and he wasn't in it. I think Takeshita's only been in the first C2. So there is a good chance that he might actually just not be in it this year as well.
That's possible too.
So then I guess that makes the Okada match much less likely.
Well, it's going to happen eventually. They're clearly building to it. So
they've been building it for over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with this angle that just happened, it's going to happen. And the question is it just solely going to be something that happens in AEW, or could there be a carryover to New Japan? And I think there is a realistic possibility of that. And there's probably a lot of people hearing this that don't like that idea, but I bet you they would draw more casual Japanese fans to the Dome if that was on the bill.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, hit glass in case of emergency, and you want to draw, you want to make, Tanahashi's last Tokyo Dome a really big thing. And so having Tanahashi's greatest rival on the card as a part of that show makes a ton of sense. So.
And that's also a match where it's like, if there was one person that Okada might job to, it's probably him on that one stage. And it's also the one way where you can like keep Takeshita looking strong in that show and not necessarily bury any of the young guys, except for the fact that they're just not involved.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next match, we have the AEW World Tag Team Title 3-way match, and new champs, Brodito, the team of Bandito and Brody King, defeat the Hurt Syndicate and FTR in 16 minutes and 5 seconds. And there's been a lot of rumors about the Hurt Syndicate not wanting to do jobs, and this match was originally supposed to be an elimination match, and it got changed to just a standard 3-way. We had Ricochet and Gates of Agony running off.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That wasn't part of the vibe.
No, I learned during this match the O2 is very well soundproofed. because you go get a drink and you can't hear anything.
So you use this as your bathroom.
This was your break.
This is my break.
Yeah, there was 3 guys that came out in New Japan tracksuits that attacked Hurt Syndicate, and it ended up being Ricochet in the Gates of Agony until they beat those guys off screen. So it just came down to Brodito and FTR.
I didn't even know that. That's how little I paid attention. I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, and the whole
man
justification was also, MJF and Hurt Syndicate, or MJF is now working alongside Ricochet and Gates of Agony, and so they all have heat with Hurt Syndicate, and there was that whole angle a few months ago where Hurt Syndicate embarrassed Ricochet, so that's all like a link back as well. So
it's all coming together. It's all coming back to me. I actually do remember this.
And so apparently it's supposed to be, from what we're hearing, could be the last appearance of the Hurt Syndicate in AEW. Nothing confirmed there, but they didn't get pinned here, and been lots of rumors of them not wanting to do business. So yeah, this could be the last time we see the Hurt Syndicate in AEW.
Well, it is interesting that their name used to be the Hurt Business, and then they left the company and they are no longer willing to do business. That's why they changed the name to Hurt Syndicate. So makes sense. I thought this was fine. It was clearly the cool down match. The guys worked hard, but it was definitely difficult to kind of like recover from, the match prior to it. Plus, I do think that there is this sort of rejection of what's taken place in the tag team division with Hurt Syndicate. I'm not a huge fan of the idea that the way they got here was that they held a tag team tournament and then the finals was a draw that enabled both teams to go through. Like realistically, in a real sports situation like that, there shouldn't be a time limit. That's why, like in the G1 and other tournaments for New Japan, there is no time limit because you have to have a decisive winner. Mm-hmm. If you did just want to do the time limit, then there should have either been a rematch or there should have been a extension to the match at that point in time, like a sudden death. But they had to get everybody on the show, so I don't know.
Well, I don't think it was about getting everybody on the show. I think it was about Hurt Syndicate not wanting to lay them shoulders down. So it's like we gotta do a 3-way.
Well, yeah, but at first it was because they said it was going to be an elimination match. So if it's elimination, and you think like there's going to be 2 jobs done, then at that point you can assume, okay, well we're trying to get paydays for everybody, get them on the show. But then they switch it and they're like, yeah, only one team's doing a job here, then that changes things.
Yeah, I was there for the 30-minute time limit, and everyone around was kind of like, this is very long and boring. And then we heard like the first time call. I think it was only like for 5 minutes. There were like 5 minutes left, and the collective sigh from 8,000 people of being like, oh, we're going 30 minutes. I was just like, do we have to watch another 5 minutes of this and then watch a 3-way on Sunday? But the answer is no, you don't, because you can go and get a drink. I did want to see the finish, but the queue was so long that I just didn't see any of it.
Well, the finish got messed up anyway, so you didn't miss much. They went for that whole monkey flip combo where Brody like catapults Bandito onto the guy, and like he kind of was a little bit short, and then like he had the cover and he slipped off the cover and he had to like grab the cover back and get the through. No. So it was a little sloppy finish there, but yeah, Bandito and Brody King get the win. There was some big crowd reactions for Brody King and Bobby Lashley facing off, and a lot of meat chants. And
I hate the meat chants. Listen, I love when there are organic, unexpected, and fun chants in pro wrestling. So like the first time when it was like me, I was like, this is so great. But now it's anytime anybody of any size has to interact in AEW, they do meat chants. And I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like this is the shit that makes me not want to watch Western wrestling. It's so contrived and you're trying to get yourself over, like, fuck off.
Well, it's also like Hobbs is kind of like yanked it as his main thing too.
Yeah, this is brand.
People are very excited about Brodito. I think that's an interesting tag team, so that's really cool. I don't really know too much about what's been going on with FTR. I did, or even Stokely. I know that there's like somehow they're tied up into the Edge feud, but I did see the promo. I saw it online where Stokely talked about how he's a fight. He's like, "You think I'm not a fighter?" Like, I've been fighting my whole life. He's like, "I'm short. I'm bald. I get no hose." and to see Cash Wheeler's face, like he like broke on screen. He like looks off to the side. He's like, "No hose."
Yeah.
Although I heard that they did a terrible segment that like they ruined that whole entire like funny joke and turned it into like I don't know, like something where they had crowd interaction with Edge and it like
I fast forwarded it.
Yeah,
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, because they did Cope versus Stokely on Dynamite, and then Cope was in the crowd like asking women, "Do you think Stokely gets hosed? Like, man, would you go with Stokely?" Yeah, it was it was weird. But yeah, so mentioning that whole like Cope stuff, I was surprised here that FTR didn't win because it seemed like we are gonna get FTR versus Cope and Christian in Toronto next month for tag titles. I think
Thank God for Data One.
I mean, that match is probably still going to happen, just not for the titles. But yeah,
that's fine. It's fine as long as it's not a world tag team title program. You can do whatever you want in the opener or the second match. It's fine.
The pre-show.
Yeah, go on the 0 hour. You gotta get those YouTube views up, okay?
You want to work Dark Elevation. That's on you.
Yes.
You know?
You want to work the Ring of Honor taping before the show.
Oh, man.
Lowe's knows that no matter your paint project, saving is at the top of your list. That's why when you shop today, you can buy one, get one free. Select Valspar and HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams. One coat coverage interior paints via rebate. Shop these deals in-store or online today at Lowe's. We help, you save. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Offer valid 8/21 through 9/3.
So moving on to the next matchup, we had the AEW Unified title match. Kazuchika Okada defeats Swerve Strickland to retain the title in 16:41.
This was short. I guess I expected it to go a lot longer. Especially because they keep telling us that the Unified title is like a second world title. So I was kind of waiting for it to be like a world title match, but you didn't really get that, which is fine. I understand the Swerve injury and things. I don't think that's a problem that it went short, because I think they'll just have another one in them for afterwards once Swerve comes back, whenever that is. So I'll pass on.
I think it's funny that they have the Unified title, which is the belt that represents the unification of the international and the continental title, but they also still have Don Callis bringing out the other two belts. And I think it's partly because they're afraid to commit to the idea that they don't want the other titles to totally exist anymore, because I still suspect at some point they might try to spin those back off and reestablish them, which is like, that's the last thing they need. Like the unification of the titles was the appealing thing here. And as much great history as both of those titles had, this Unified title looks a million times better than the other ones. So it is supposed to be like an added prestige thing. I also think like there is this preoccupation with like the All Japan Triple Crown, and they've like wanted to recreate that a few times. So maybe that's what's going on here. And then I also just think Tony Khan likes belts, and I think he just likes to have belts on the. Yeah. But but the thing is, Okada and Swerve, very good match, but I was expecting a great match considering the levels of talent that were here, and it didn't really hit those levels. And I think part of it was because Swerve did a great job selling the knee, but they relied so heavily on that aspect of the story that it kind of hampered the pace of the match. And I noticed that there was some timing issues between Okada and Swerve throughout the match. They didn't seem to always be on the same page. And I felt like there was a little bit of clunkiness there. That's not, I don't have too many major complaints about the match, but because it was very good, but it just felt like two really great guys that you would expect to have a much better match, and they didn't deliver to that level. And then I didn't love the finish. That I like the idea that Okada beat him like clean and emphatically, but it just sort of came out of nowhere, and it felt like they were building to something to where it's like, okay, 5 to 10 more minutes, they're actually gonna get to that great level, because it was starting to heat up, especially like those risk control segments from Swerve. I thought that was really money, and I was like, okay, we're going somewhere. And then like a minute later, Okada had him beat, and I was like, oh, these guys could do much better than this.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. It did feel like, all right, where is the next level of this match? And yeah, kind of like Emily was saying, I was expecting, world title quality matchup. Obviously, two of the best wrestlers on the roster, and I totally get Swerve had the bum knee, and probably, I don't know, maybe he couldn't hit that next level for this matchup. And I don't know if it's what they're doing with Okada, because I felt the same way with the Kenny Omega match at All In. It's like I felt like they were starting to really get into a groove, and then Okada just hits one Rainmaker, and then it's over. Which I mean, and one end, it's cool that they are protecting his finish and the Rainmaker and making it a powerful move, but also at the same time, like a big match like this, we've seen the Rainmaker, kicked out of so many times now, and it's always a great false finish. But for it to be like one and done, I was like, I was kind of hoping Swerve would kick out and there would be more.
Yeah, that does seem to be the thing with Okada lately. It's like, you're a way to get into that next gear, and then the match sort of like abruptly ends. Which I think I kind of enjoy it, because it leaves a lot of rematches available to be like, okay, we are going to get to that next gear next time. And I understand it happening in the Swerve with the knee and all that. And I will say, winning a title via interference and then deciding that actually I'm only going to defend this under Continental rules, which means nobody can interfere and therefore I can't lose via the same way I won, is quite beast from Okada. I will say, I do enjoy that.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, why wasn't the first match under Continental rules also? Because the Continental title was on the line, but I don't know.
Yeah, but it only mattered because he won the title, and because he was the Continental title champ before, that means now the Continental rules are in place. But they weren't in place for the unified match. It's only because he won.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they are keeping the Continental rules. Yeah, I just think, I mean, there's so much interference in so many matches in so many promotions. It is good to have a match where it's like, all right, we are definitely not doing outside interference here.
Nah, that's just stupid. It does. I understand. I get what you're saying, Jeremy, and I do love the idea that there's some semblance of order being maintained, but the logic of it is so stupid. It doesn't make any sense at all. You can only not interfere, which is illegal in these matches. But the other matches, you also are not supposed to interfere, but if you do it and the referee doesn't catch you, it's okay. But if you do it in this one and the referee doesn't catch you, you are fired. Like, what?
I think it was originally no seconds allowed, but then they still want Dawn on commentary for every Okada match. So they can't say no seconds allowed, because then you can't have Dawn.
No, he's actually explained that part away. There is kayfabe for it. He's a broadcast journalist.
Oh, he has his license?
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah, he has a managerial license, but he's also a broadcast journalist. So he's fulfilling a different capacity and role.
Well, they should just say no seconds then, instead of no interference.
The fact that they happen to come out at the same time is irrelevant.
It's just a coincidence.
He's not there to support him in any
Wearing
way.
2 of his belts. He didn't mean it. They just slipped. Like,
but I do think that is so stupid to be like, you cannot cheat in the, and then that's going to speak to this next part. So like, you know, at the end of the match, they bring out the surprise. And who was the surprise? Oh yeah,
Wardlow.
who was that?
So Wardlow, actually, when Wardlow came out, I was like, "Is that Wardlow?" I couldn't remember because
I couldn't tell. I was too high up. I was like, who's that?
So Wardlow comes out or whatever, and you know, beats him up. And honestly, what I thought was happening, I thought Wardlow was making his reemergence to say, "Okay, I'm going to be a top guy now, and I'm going after Swerve." And this was going to be the way that they pivoted away from Swerve trying to come back after Okada when he's done with his knee thing, and he'll have a ready-made feud with Wardlow. Maybe they will kind of go that way. But then they established, oh no, Wardlow's not his own man. He's not a top guy. He's a heavy for Okada in the Don Callis family, which is already, I mean, this was a floundering, failing organization at one point, and it's now one of the most powerful in kayfabe and on screen like groups that has ever existed. Great on them. They don't really need Wardlow in the group at this point. Like, there's no spot for him. They already got Lance Archer. They already got like, how many dudes do they have in that thing? Putting that aside, though, what sense does it make for Okada to get a heavy when he's the champion of the division that no one can follow him out to the ring or interfere in his matches anyways?
Well, I don't think he's specifically for Okada. He's like, it's another heavy for the Don Callis family in general.
I didn't get that vibe. I got the vibe that he is the young boy to Okada. He's his underboss. That's what I was seeing.
I felt like Wardlow's like attack post match lasted longer than the actual match did. I was like, why is this still going on? It was so long.
The match was 16 minutes and 41 seconds.
This felt like 25. I was like, this is crazy.
She's acting like this match went like 5 minutes. So
It felt like 5 minutes. I was like, wow, it's over already. I was like, okay.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems like Swerve is going to go and get knee surgery after this matchup. And so yeah, they wrote him off the attack, and then Wardlow attacked Prince Nana to kind of write Prince Nana off. And then yeah, we got the Don Callis family out there. Yeah, this faction is stacked. Yeah, also you got Okada, Takeshita came out. You got Rocky, Jacero, Archer, Trent Beretta, Josh Alexander, Brian Cage. Like this.
Oh my god, I forgot Brian Cage is in this group.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said it, but Lance Archer too.
Yeah, and Archer, like
that's a lot of fucking dudes and a lot of big dudes too.
Yeah, Don said he was building the largest numerical faction in wrestling. That's an exact quote. It's not about quality, it's about how many there is.
He's never going to have more people than the NWO at its apex. Like that's never going to happen.
But yeah, he can have like the nastiest like trios team at any point. Like the combos he can do are just insane at this point right now.
Sure, but I also feel like if you are Okada and Kyle O'Reilly, and I guess maybe to some degree Takeshita, like
you mean Kyle Fletcher?
Oh, what did I say?
O'Reilly.
I always do that. I always get the two Kyles mixed up. Yeah, if you're Kyle Fletcher, then it's like you're the crown jewels and everybody else just bit players. And, you know, if you're Wardlow and you've been gone all this time and you were like hot at one point and poised to come out of that MJF feud as like a major guy, and they just don't go with you and they just don't push you and it flounders, like, do you want to come back and just be the heavy one of 3 or 4 heavies in the Don Callis family? That sucks.
We've got all-star tags to do, okay?
Yeah.
Wardlow's got his place. He's got a 12-man tag to do on Collision every week.
I guess as long as you're getting paid, I guess. I don't know.
He's booked and busy. It's okay.
Yeah, and then we also had the Takeshita coming out, kind of a Takeshita face-off a little bit with Okada. and kind of getting the whole family there. So yeah, more teases like we mentioned earlier to Takeshita versus Okada.
And that match is gonna happen somewhere. You know, I probably am wrong. It probably will just be something that takes place in AEW, but I can't discount the idea that it couldn't happen at Wrestle Kingdom as well.
Yeah, I mean, strong chance.
Yeah.
So following that, we had the AEW Women's World Title match. Timeless Toni Storm defeating Athena in 15 minutes and 16 seconds.
Yeah, I felt this is where you felt the disconnect between like the online world and then what AEW actually feels with Athena, because if you're online, like Athena is the best in the world, and she is one of the best in the world, absolutely. But sort of after this match, you just kind of felt like, oh, she was just the challenger of the month. You know, if you went online, people were like, Athena's winning this, she's going to be double world champion, all this. But by the end of the match, it was just like, nope, she just lost. And that was it.
I thought that was honestly a really hilarious idea. Why? And I have no dog in the fight, me personally, but like, why the fuck would you have Toni Storm beat Mercedes Moné in Texas in one of the biggest women's matches ever, to then just like a month, literally 1 month later, lay down for a very talented but nowhere near as popular, marketable, or screen presence star as those two girls? Why would they do that? It makes no numerical business sense. And I do understand that she, like Athena, very good worker. She has a lot of supporters, and I get that, but it's like, I don't think that her winning here would have made her or like a fixed business or anything for the women's division overnight. Like, I'm surprised that I was surprised she even won that gauntlet, because they booked themselves into this corner to where it's a no-win situation, and now she has to lose. But she was never going to beat Toni Storm, and I don't know why anyone would have ever thought she would have, because it makes no business sense.
I think it's a thing of like, people are at the point now where it's like, okay, Toni's won this. Is she like a 4-time champion, 3-time champion?
Something like that.
Something like that. So it was sort of like this thing of like, okay, she got her big money win. It's time to like make a new star. Toni doesn't need this belt anymore, kind of thing. So I think it could have been anybody in this spot, but especially because it's Athena, she's been the champ for like 1,000 days in Ring of Honor. It kind of felt like, well, this makes the most sense. If Toni's going to lose to anybody, it might as well be her if it's not going to be Mercedes. But it's late and I've forgotten my point.
I think for me personally, it's like, if you were going to have her lose, then it should have been Mercedes.
Yeah.
If she's beating Mercedes, she's not turning around and losing to anybody 1 month later. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't some truth to the fact that she has already done quite a bit and it's time for her to put somebody else over. But let's not forget, she also did do that for Mariah May, and it's not AEW's fault that got squandered. But the time is coming. It's just not 1 month after she beat Mercedes Moné in the biggest women's match in the company's history. Like, there's no way that Athena was going to win here. And if this is the conundrum, they shouldn't have booked the match.
Yes, yeah. I remembered my point now. I was going to say that AEW is just content having Toni Storm being the world champion, whereas people are like clamoring to be like, okay, she needs to lose now. Like, and every challenger, it's going to be like, okay, Toni's going to lose now, right? Because she's a big enough star now that she doesn't need the belt to be on TV. And you don't have that, unfortunately, with a lot of the women's stars. But I think AEW are more just content having her keep the title and hold it probably until they go to Australia in February? I think they go back.
Yeah, they announced that they'll be back. They're doing 2 dates in February, I think in Brisbane and Melbourne.
Yeah. So there you go. It's lasts until at least February.
Yeah, and I think that there is part of why people want her to lose too. There is this kind of culture of like, all right, everybody needs a turn. Like, Toni's had her turn. Like, all right, when it's now Willow's turn, it's Chris's turn, it's Julia Hart's turn, it's, Tekla's turn. It's like, not everybody should get a turn and be the women's world champion. And a lot of the women are talented, and like I do think like somebody like Willow will eventually become the world champion. But like right now, like I don't think there is a need or any business need to take the belt of a Tony right now. I think you build up somebody that you do want to kind of pass the torch to, and then you have her drop it on a big show. Athena was definitely, like you said, challenger of the month, and I do think it is a very much kind of an online perception versus how AEW actually books her. Because like you said, if you go online, like people are like, yeah, Athena is the great. Like they kind of take the ROH stuff as a shoot. Like she's been champion for 1,000 days. She's the
real to me. God's sake.
Yeah, she's the greatest women's wrestler going. She's been the world champion for so long. It's like, yes, she has to win. And it's like, if you look at AEW TV, it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong.
She's not on TV.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah. Like the ROH stuff has been great. She's been doing great work there, but it's like she's been kind of sequestered off to her own, that zone that nobody really pays attention to except pay-per-views. And then like she's just now being like a regular on TV like weekly since like All in Texas. And so like for her to kind of come out of nowhere, where like I'm sure obviously the deep hardcore fans know who she is, but I guarantee you there are like quote unquote casual AEW viewers who probably are like, who is she again? Like, where is she? Like, no, there's no way she's beating Tony. Like,
I think the cachet of them being able to say she's been undefeated for this many days. Here's what she's done. She has this acclaim. That's all well and good. And I think that is beneficial for when you bring her over. But it is sort of weird that they have only waited until just recently to even start to integrating her into the main product. But if she had been on this 1,000-day undefeated streak, like something like, say, what Jade Cargill was earlier in the company and then was in this match, it would make all the sense in the world. Be like, yeah, we've seen this fucking thing happen. It's time to build her up. But none of that shit happened in actual AEW. It was in the fake ROH, which no one is watching. And because it's in ROH, it doesn't actually have any business carryover to mean anything of actual note. And the truth is, I do agree with you, Jeremy. It's like, yes, there is this idea that people want a lot of people to have a turn. And I think that that's more pronounced in the women's division because the amount of exposure and time they get is more limited. But this is the first time with these two women on top that they've even started to expand the amount of TV time and match time that they're getting. And I think that will immediately diminish the moment you put it on an unproven woman. And I think that I agree with what you're saying there, Emily. I think that there is this thought that it's like, she doesn't need the title anymore, so you can branch her off and then put the title on someone else, and then maybe you can have 3 segments instead of just the 2. But I don't think it'll work that way. I think what will happen is, realistically, if they put the wrong girl in now, then you will literally have Tony having Tony time, Mercedes having Mercedes time, and whoever the real world's women champion is, she will get 5 minutes on TV, and it won't mean anything. And then people will be wondering, when is it time for her to drop the title to Mercedes so she can be 10 belts Mercedes? That's what's really going to happen if they don't drop it to the right girl at the right time. And now's the time that they need to start building that, whoever that person is. Honestly, it probably should be Willow, but I don't watch the show enough to like say who's really big enough or over. But like, you guys tell me, but like, that's probably who should be next up in terms of like who is presented as a major star in that company.
Yeah, I'd say Willow or Statlander are probably your 2 that you're looking at if you're wanting to put another. If they don't bring in the tag titles, though, because Willow and Stat have this weird, like, are we going to be friends? Are we not going to be friends? And if they bring in those tag titles, then that's probably where they get.
They're going to be stuck for like a year.
Yeah, it's like another year of delays from them getting any sort of world title shots.
Well, I think the big story for Willow is like beating Mercedes. So it's like, do you do that and have her get the TBS title, or do you wait until Mercedes becomes a women's world champion and you have Willow beat Mercedes for that title? So I think you could do the side quest tag title that gives time for Mercedes to get the world title, to where then you can do this big story of like, all right, there's a history between Willow and Monet, and then we're gonna have Willow beat her. But I definitely think Willow, out of the other women, is like the top like next baby face up to get the title.
I think Athena could definitely be champion. They've laid the groundwork over the other company, but they haven't portrayed that on TV. I think if they get her over on their TV to a greater degree, then they might be cooking with something with her, but they haven't invested enough time and everything. And you know what, like you said there, Jeremy, I do think there's a good chance that the next champion could just be Mercedes, because she is still continuing to accumulate these belts. So the next match that they could potentially do is all the gold is on the line. And then that's going to be the rematch of the biggest match ever. They do it on a big pay-per-view, blah, blah, blah. And then Tony drops the title to Mercedes, and now Tony can go off and do her thing. And then Mercedes will have literally all the belts. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Works for me. Fine by me.
So next up, we had the AEW Men's World Title match. Hangman Adam Page defeating MJF in 31 minutes and 38 seconds.
I don't even know where to start with this one. So much took place. And
you didn't see any of it.
No, I promise. I saw some of this one. It was good. It was really good. And we'll get into the overbooked stuff in the end, but I'm glad they left that until the end. I think One Nation Radio this week or last week, their newest episode, they really nailed all the build on the head. It's like, why would I get excited for a third match when I haven't even seen the second one yet? And then seeing this one with all the overbooked stuff at the end, it just got a bit too much. But it's an MJF match for you. It starts off, you get your first 20 minutes and you go, wow, MJF's a really, really good wrestler. And then he spends the last 10 minutes ruining that perception that he just built for the past 20 minutes by doing something too convoluted and too much for heat that you could just quite easily get by doing other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think that the build of this match I thought was great until last week, where they reversed everything, and he's going to, incinerate a man on live television to get the stuff reversed and not have to cash in the contract and do the whole stupid, tile changes on DQ and count out, which in a vacuum, New Japan has that rule. It's like, I think that's a fine rule if that's going to be your established rule all time. But Western wrestling only does that when the heel wants to go the babyface into cheating and losing the title. So once that was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so gimmicked up, and which they did save it for the end, but it was like, I knew going in that was coming. And you had that through the match where MJF is trying to get Hangman to be mad, and then you had a spot where Hangman put them through a table. How's that not a disqualification? And then it's all the shenanigans, and then the Bryce spot where he counts to three. He's clearly turning away and counting three with Hangman's foot on the rope.
Yeah, and then he didn't ring the bell.
Yeah, it doesn't ring the bell.
I was like, what's the point of even counting to three?
Right.
If nobody's going to ring the bell.
And then Mark Briscoe comes out, and you're like, oh, he's going to bring out Aubrey. They're going to restart this thing.
Yeah.
They're going to show, hey, his foot was actually on the rope. But no, he just runs out there.
And then security come out. I'm like, why?
And if they hadn't stopped him, he was going to cost Hangman Adam Page the world title.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then Bryce, he gets a senso bean or something. He's back on his feet right away, and it's no
fighting spirit.
Yeah, he's like, no, his foot was on the rope. How do you even know? You didn't see. He could have just put his foot on the rope while you were out. How do you know? So yeah.
I was waiting for someone to force MJF to somehow sign the contract, and we were gonna restart the match and that, but no, he still has the contract at the end of the day. So we have to watch this match again. I'm like, okay.
Speaking of sensu beans, so this is a little off topic, but one time I was in it doesn't matter what city, but I was in a city nearby, and they had like a geek shop where you could like buy like geeky things. And I found this like bag of toy sensu, not toy, but like candy sensu beans. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I bought it. And I was like, Jeremy's going to really like this. So we were like having a fan meetup in St. Pete before one of the New Japan shows. And Jeremy's like walking up with his then at the time girlfriend, but now wife. And in the TV show, anytime someone like gets this, they're like, give me a sensu bean. They like throw it from far away and they like catch it. So I thought it'd be funny to like throw the bag at Jeremy. And I like rushed out and I just tossed it at him and it like hit him in the leg. And they're like, what the fuck? I don't know why I did that.
That's fine. I thought you were going to say you hit his wife. And no, I was like, oh my God.
I had bad aim though. That could have definitely happened.
The funny thing is, I don't even remember you throwing it. I remember you giving me the bag of sensu beans, but I do not remember you throwing it at me.
You guys were walking up and I ran outside and I was like, yeah. And I just threw it at you. And you didn't know what it was or why. So yeah. Back to the match. I agree with everything you guys said. I honestly, from a work standpoint, I thought that this was the best worked match of the entire evening. I thought that the actual in-ring was really, really good, and that Adam Page and MJF both have very good chemistry with one another. But then the tail end of the match happened, and it did get overbooked, over convoluted, and was a little unnecessary. And I do think the fact that they weren't even able to pay it off in a way to where, like you mentioned, Emily, where the contract got still cashed in and then MJF still didn't come out on top. That would have been the much better way to go about this, because then Hangman would come off looking more superhero heroic, and it didn't work out that way. I did like the idea though that he overcame all of the odds, sort of like a Sting Horseman thing, and was still able to like best MJF, but it's like, they're gonna do it again. Do you want to fucking see it again? I don't know that I do, but I did notice that Trish talked about, I saw she had sent out a tweet and she said that this was going to be an interesting match to talk about because there's a huge disconnect between the live audience reactions and the online fan reactions. And it seemed like for a lot of people at home, they didn't like this match, but she was mentioning how like the live crowd was living and dying with everything, even the convoluted stuff. They were like desperately not wanting Hangman to lose. So they were like really invested.
Yeah, I think there was a real fear inside the building, especially as it just like, it went 30 minutes. And, you know, I'd say it was like that last 10, that was all the overbooking and the convoluted. And you see Mark Briscoe and he doesn't actually come out and do anything to help, really. And so you kind of are sitting there going like, oh God, like, are we going to do it? Because it's like that last Hangman World title run, it's like, it's not really what people wanted. Like in-ring, it was great, but it's like, it wasn't really the talking point of the company at the time, despite his whole chase to it being that. So it was just kind of like, yeah, there was a real anxiety. You could kind of feel it being like, oh, please don't do this. Please, not now. And not on a Forbidden Doors show. I'm like, not on the New Japan show. We don't need the AEW men's world title changing hands to another AEW person.
The way she's saying that, it reminds me of in The Matrix when Cypher starts killing people. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Where he starts unplugging their like their things, and the one chick looks over, she's like, not like this. Not like this. And like she like goes limp.
Oh man.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah. But definitely, yeah, the crowd was, as watching, you can tell the crowd was into it the whole time. But yeah, I do think there was some, I don't know, it was convoluted, some storyline disconnects, and I think that they could have got to doing this a different way and still use a contract. And I know that Tony Khan did say in the press conference that now they've gotten rid of the cash-in aspect. You have to give a week's notice to use a contract now. So
it's the unified title all over again. Why are we changing the rules of how it could be defended after it's already taken place?
I'm still wondering where the fucking rankings are in this company. I thought that was a thing.
I miss the rankings. I loved them. They were so fun.
Yeah.
Well, the wrestlers didn't like them, so that's why they're not around.
Well, they're boring. They need to embrace some change for once.
They're marks.
Yeah.
They didn't like being ranked 8th, you know? They couldn't handle that.
I was 3 last week. What do you mean I'm 5? I was 3.
That's literally what was happening. Was people were getting legit upset by a worked ranking system. That's why they don't have them anymore.
You just have to farm dark wins, and you get to number 1 in like 2 weeks.
Right.
It's their own fault. It's like just work.
You beat John Cruz like 10 times on dark, and then
yeah, and then you're number 1.
Like when Goldberg's like record, you go through it and he beat Jerry Flynn like 20 times.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, so Hangman retains, and yeah, at some point we'll probably get another MJF match because he still has the contract now. So we'll see where they go with that. We have a question here from Noah Russell. He says, "Does seeing Bryce Rumsberg in the AEW title match make you more appreciative for NJPW referees?"
No, but it did make me think about Bryce refereeing a House of Torture match, and that did get me quite excited.
I never really paid too much attention to referees, and the only referee that I'm like ever thinking like, man, they're really good at what they do is like Red Shoes, and even he has some tendencies that I'm not in love with. But like, I don't ever think like, man, these are some shitty referees. Like, I don't notice the difference at all.
It's funny. James from Nation Radio was over at the house and he was watching the show with me and Zach and Dan. And as soon as he saw Bryce, he's like, "Oh, I already know what's happening."
Yeah, like apparently there's things that people know about Bryce and like the structures of the match and the bumps and everything. But I don't know. I don't watch the product enough. I didn't think like he did I can't even speak to whether he did a good or bad job. I wasn't paying attention to him that much. I was kind of more focused on the guys. I don't know.
I mean,
he just goes temporarily blind sometimes.
Yeah,
he doesn't put his contacts in. So
I've been a referee before, and it is funny when they tell you like where you're supposed to be when something is happening behind your back, and you're like, "Oh,
I can't see.
I can't look in that direction for this period of time."
And also, I can't hear anything that may be happening behind me because I'm not facing it.
Right, like Hangman cracks MJF with the contract. It's like, did you not hear that?
No, because he wasn't looking. If you don't look, you can't hear.
There was a New Japan match I was watching. I don't remember what it was, but I remember watching a New Japan match recently where there was huge, loud noises going on. And I'm like, the referee, I know they can't see it, but they're not going to turn around for that. They don't hear the noise. Like, you know what I think it was? I think it was the Tsuji Evil match. Now that I'm thinking about it, like with the referee not turning around and the bad luck fall and everything. And I'm like, are they just not going to turn around right now? Like,
oh man.
Oh dear.
Well, let's get to the main event, the lights out steel cage match. We had Darby.
No, that's not the main event. The main event was the world title match, and then the show officially ended, the sanctioned portion of the show. This was an unsanctioned just thing that happened after the main event. It wasn't the main event.
Gotcha. So the outlaw lights out match. We had a
show portion of the show.
We had Darby Allin, the Golden Lovers, Tanahashi, and Will Ospreay defeating Moxley, Claudio, Gabe Kidd, and the Young Bucks in 32 minutes and 25 seconds.
When I think about people having their last matches in AEW, I think about Sting. I think about Christopher Daniels. I think about Chuck Taylor. I think about how you have to participate in a near-death experience in order to retire from AEW. And it would be rude for Tanahashi to not do the same. It would ruin the whole relationship, I think, if he said, "No, actually, I don't want to do your lights out steel cage match." But luckily for him, he had 4 teammates that were just willing to die for him instead. So it was fun. Darby's a human Beyblade. Yeah, I'll pass on.
I think the fact that he didn't do anything death-defying, as much as I didn't want him to, the fact that he didn't runs counterintuitive to what you just said, because you have to do something death-defying.
He tried. He went up the ladder. And
Yeah.
he got told to come down.
When Kota Ibushi is telling you to come down from the ladder,
Something's wrong.
my man didn't even run the blade. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
There was not enough blood in this match. That's one thing I'll say.
that was a
well, you see, it's not blood and guts, so
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, Tanahashi just being in that match alone was dangerous enough.
Yeah, just walking around near the barbed wire was enough.
I don't know if you noticed this or not, Emily, but Kenny Omega, he did wear the airbrushed gear.
Oh, I noticed it immediately. Don't worry. I started drafting a tweet and I said, actually, maybe I should just enjoy myself. And just enjoy the moment.
What was your tweet gonna say? You can share it on here. It's an exclusive.
I think I don't even know. It's probably something in all caps. And I was mad. I was probably like, for fuck's sake. He's had, it was about the fact that he's had matching gear with Koa before, in a cage match before. And he couldn't be bothered just putting that on again. He had to do it to spite me and to be petty. He wore not only the airbrush gear, but the worst one. So, like, I think it was just to spite me.
I don't think it's the worst one. I think that when he was world champion and he used to wear those orange flame airbrush ones, I thought those were terrible.
But these ones have like the eyes on them, like at his hips. I'm like, what is going on?
I wasn't paying as close attention as
Yeah, he's got like two big eyes, and then it just like changes color. It goes from really dark ugly to like bright blue at the knee and the shin pads. And it just doesn't match. It doesn't match with its own gear. It doesn't make any sense.
Bro,
I did really like his kick pads though, because he had chains on the kick pads.
Yes, I like that. Cool. But at All In, he ripped them off because they were clearly annoying him. And you could see him in the corner halfway through this match also ripping them off because they're clearly pissing him off. And I'm like, well, you need to glue them harder if they're annoying you.
What were you saying, Jeremy?
I was saying, Kenny probably didn't even like realize what this match was going to be until like last. Like, oh, I'm doing this match. Fine, let me just grab some gear, whatever I can grab first out of the drawer. And
why are you talking about Kenny like he's Kota Ibushi? Because Kota is the one who did not know that this was even happening. He was like, "I'm doing what?
I'm doing what? It's in England."
Because Kenny wasn't on TV. It's like, oh, okay. I thought I was taking this pay-per-view off, but I guess I'll fly to the UK, I guess.
You know, I loved what Rich and James had to say about the whole Kenny-ness of this, where they're just like, yeah, it's great where he lost one of the biggest matches of his entire career and then just never came back and never told anybody how he felt about it. No reaction. But now he's in this cage match, so that's cool, you know?
Yeah, and he was dancing. The first thing you saw was him giving a hug, and then he started dancing. So it's like, wow, you did not care about losing to Okada. And that's fair. I get it.
Yeah, I will say him dancing to Bop did pop me.
That was a lot of fun.
I didn't. Oh, I guess we didn't. Oh, yeah. So that's now. So, yeah, the Jacksons came out and, yeah, they had Bop. I didn't think that it was mic'd properly. Like, it was really hard to hear it coming through the TV. If you didn't know what it was, you could have even maybe not heard it. I don't know if it was coming through live in the audience very well.
I think we were all singing along to it. So I think it was harder to hear the music because everybody else was singing.
I don't know how anyone sings that because I don't feel like anyone actually knows the real words. So it's probably just a lot of people saying noises that they think sound like the song. Yeah,
and most people were drunk by this point. So it was just a lot of noises going on.
Yeah, there was a thing on the pre-show where, the Bucks, they've been disrespected since losing the EVP titles, and they asked production, play our old theme and give us the most dangerous weapons you can find. And so They did play an old theme, their first ever theme, the Hanson's Bop, and then they got, instead of a bag of tacks, they got a bag of gummy bears in the match.
Yeah,
I hated that.
Oh.
Go ahead, Emily. I know you liked this match a lot. You loved it. Tell us what you liked about it.
This match was just like, after the last match, which was like, you really had to be like so focused, so concentrated, you couldn't miss anything. This was just like a shut your brain off and just watch what's happening in front of you. And it's a party match with which the Elite are like their best at. And everybody was just so over. Like, everybody wanted to see Tanahashi in his last match. Everybody wanted to see Ospreay in his goodbye match, I suppose. People wanted to see the Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks, which you got a lot of in this match. This was honestly a glorified tag match with Tanahashi on the side, which obviously I loved. Despy got involved. People were complaining that El Desperado was only booked on the 0 hour. He was booked in the main event as well. He took a bump. Don't know why we're complaining.
Despy is watching like, how do I get in this match? Like, I'll come Blade.
Oh dear. But yeah, it was just so fun because, especially from my viewpoint, I could actually see everything for this match. So you can catch so many things that the camera doesn't catch. Just like, I love seeing like when two people are wrestling in the ring, I'm like, what is everybody else on the outside doing? It's like, okay, they're just doing random chokeholds, or they're just hugging each other for no reason. And I just love stuff like that. I love the things that the camera doesn't catch.
Oh man. Anything else that you liked about this match, Emily?
I mean, I think Ibushi was a standout in this match. I think he just gave it everything he had, as he always does. But he has a lot more to give now than he has, in the previous year or two. So he was just he's always doing something. It's just like, it can be the most random things, but he's always just going around checking up on everybody. Like the amount of times he went over to Tanahashi just to hug him and give him a thumbs up was like unbelievable.
He did a dive, a tope to the outside that like he barely cleared, and I was so fucking scared.
Well, it seemed like he like changed his mind mid move. It was like, I'm gonna do a flip. Wait, no, I'm not.
It looked like he in midair he decided to do something different, and he didn't have enough momentum. It didn't seem like he didn't have the athleticism to do it like he has in the past. It felt like his brain shifted, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" And then like he was over. And I was like, "Oh my god!" He almost hit the apron. That was almost really bad.
Oh dear.
I'll be honest with you guys, and this is just my personal opinion, and I know that it runs so counter to what a lot of people felt about this match. I didn't like this match pretty much at all, and here's why. I agree with you, Emily. I do think it was basically just a glorified tag team match, and I think that if what you are invested in as a fan, and I feel like a lot of people were this way, was seeing these big stars interact in a fun and entertaining way, almost a la PWG-esque, then this is probably a great match for you. But my question is, why the fuck did we need the cage and the lights out stipulation? Because when I get told that there's going to be a lights out steel cage match, I am of the opinion that this is going to be like all the other lights out matches that have ever happened, which are some of the most violent things that have ever occurred in this company's history. And when it's a cage match, I assume that the cage is going to be integral to what is happening. And it really probably didn't need to really exist. I mean, there was the one drop off of it. Who was it? Was it Darby?
Darby and Gabe.
And Gabe.
Yeah, Darby and Gabe fell off of it. And I think Yuta fell off of it onto the announcer's table.
Despy. Yeah.
And, that's cool. But if that's really all it's there for, is to just have like two big spots where people fall off of it, you could do that with a ladder. You don't need a cage for that. They didn't use the cage as a weapon hardly at all. And my feeling about this is there was way too many people. The thing that you mentioned, Emily, where it's like people were hugging each other on the outside for no reason. And they're like, why the fuck were so many people laying around for so long during this match? What it became was guys would come in, whether it was 2 or 3 at a time. Everyone else is laying. They're doing their spots. The crowd's reacting. It's exciting for people that are really into it. But then they go out. Someone else comes in. It's basically like a lucha fest. It's not that different from what you see at a CMLL Friday night show, which is fine. But for me, I was like, we're about to see one of the craziest cage matches of all time. And they're going to cover the fact that so many of these guys are immobile by using the cage stipulation to really just allow them to plunder, allow them to bleed and fight. And it really wasn't a fight. It was like a Young Bucks style tag team match. There was some violence involved. I hated the gummy bears thing. And I know that probably appeals to people that are very invested into the ex-CEO or ex-EVP storyline. But I just felt like that was, I don't know. It reminded me of like when CM Punk had the friendship bracelet in WWE. I'm like, I don't need that. The cutesy stuff in what I'm watching. And I don't know. I was just really disappointed, honestly. I thought that the match would be much more violent, much more high energy. I thought the guys on the outside would be fighting all over the building. I thought it was basically going to be anarchy in the arena in a cage. Like, so not that different from like the first dog pound steel cage match, which was like insanity, where it was like the work was so high. And for me, the work wasn't high. The violence wasn't that high, other than like Darby getting his ear stabbed, you know, him and Mox both bleeding, but everybody else was pretty tame. Like it was just guys, it was a tag team match. And I was in the Discord being like, you know, this kind of sucks. And people were like, you're crazy. This is one of the best things that ever happened. And I'm like, I know when I've seen a great match. Like, I didn't pop one time watching this match. And this is not coming from like an anti-AEW thing. It's really not. Like, I just didn't react to almost anything that happened. And I know a lot of guys were broken down in this match. Like, you know, Will's got a bad neck. Tanahashi has no knees. You know, Kenny and Ibushi both have their own issues health-wise and are still like trying to make comebacks. So there's a lot of people. And then, you know, Gabe, who knows what the fuck's going on with Gabe? Like, he didn't even work the G1. We don't even know if that's a work or shoot or whatever the fuck happened there.
Are we sure he can do that Shingo match after that table bump? Like, I think he got to take more time off.
You know, yeah, a lot of people were afraid for Darby. They thought Darby took the bump bad. I thought that Gabe took it way worse and protected Darby. Yeah. I was nervous for Gabe.
Yeah, that looked nasty.
And then the last thing I will say is Tanahashi got the big win. That's cool. But, bro, the way he was on that top rope.
He took a while.
He took a while. His legs were shaking the whole time. And I know he looked good on the actual execution of the move. But if you noticed, he didn't do full extension. He didn't stand up. He was still hunched over and then just kind of launched himself forward because he couldn't do it. And that makes me very nervous about the rest of the year. I'm like, I know that the G1 just ended, but I'm like, he can't stand up. And the other guys were stabilizing. I don't know if anyone noticed this. Everyone else was holding the ropes and stabilizing it so he wouldn't fall. What the fuck?
At first in the arena, it kind of looked like, oh, he's just taking in the moment, you know, on the top rope. He's just taking in the applause. It's his last time. Like, the match is going to end. And then you see him start like repositioning his feet. And you're like, oh no, he's just like getting ready to do it. Like, he should have gone by now, but he just can't go yet. And it was sort of like, it went from like, yeah, you could do it, to be like, oh, please do it though. Like, please don't mess it up.
I said something about him like not being able to do it. And a lot of other people were like, no, they thought it was him taking in the moment. And I'm like, that's great if that's what they think. But I saw those legs shaking and I saw him not go full extension. I was like, he couldn't get up to do it.
Yeah.
And I think he took this was a Makabe match. I don't think he took very many bumps at all.
He didn't.
Not really.
Yeah. It was hilarious. The one spot where it was all 5. It was like 5 against 1. He's just like swatting them off. Dragon screw. Oh
Like,
man.
don't get me wrong. There were a lot of fun moments, and if that's the way you judge a wrestling match, and I feel like there are a lot of people that, like, for them, they just wanted to see these guys all interact with one another, and it's like a party match, and it's, you know, PWG-esque. But my answer to that is, don't put it in a cage. Don't call it a lights out steel cage match if you're not going to do that match. And they really didn't. And I feel like anyone else who object, like, the only objection you could say to that is, well, they had weapons. It's like, you don't need weapons to do a cage match. They didn't use the cage hardly at all. The only real thing that mattered about the cage was the post-match beatdown of Will Ospreay and them lowering the cage to create the heat. And if that's the only reason it was there, I don't know if that's enough justification to call this a lights out steel cage match.
I mean, Claudio did toss Darby from the ring to the cage.
Yeah,
You got one.
But there should have been a lot more than that. You know what the pacing and style should have been? It should have been like the Armageddon Hell in a Cell, where the whole match people are just nonstop. The work rate should have been high, and it doesn't mean they need to be doing a lot of dangerous stuff, but like, it should have been something where it's like, I can't tell what is happening because there's so much action. And it wasn't that. It was a lot of people laying around, and only what was happening in the ring actually mattered. And for me, that's not my jam, especially in this kind of style match. Maybe if it hadn't have been a cage match, I wouldn't have these complaints.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. To me, it was
fun.
Yeah, I had fun. It was a fun party match, and I think it helped too. Yeah, watching it with people in the house too, and I don't know, we were popping for stuff, and it was just a really fun match, and like, this cool stuff were happening. Like, yes, it was not the most violent, bloody, crazy match. It wasn't like a Blood and Guts or Anarchy in the Arena, but I don't know, it's just like a fun, hard-hitting match. You know, top stars interacting, doing cool spots, getting over. I don't know, it was almost like a fun, just kind of crowd-pleasing match. Like, let's send the crowd home happy. You're seeing all your favorites. They're doing cool moves. Ospreay did the Sky Twister or a moonsault off the top of the cage, and there are big bumps. And yeah, I don't know, just a really fun kind of plunder matchup, kind of party matchup. Almost like it was like an all-star tag match just in a cage, which at the end of the day, I guess, you know, maybe they didn't need the cage, but I don't know. It looked cool, and it was a fun matchup. And ultimately, like you mentioned, this also set up the ending angle. This was, you know, there's been a lot of rumors about Ospreay's neck and that he's probably going to need to get neck surgery. And so, yeah, the whole thing where they got in the cage, they did the whole Pillmanization, stomped on his neck, the babyface couldn't get in. You had the hilarious stuff of Ibushi, like, punching the cage and throwing his body into the cage to try and get in and save Ospreay.
He didn't, because, like, the video that I managed to get somebody to send me on Twitter, it kind of looks like he's doing a shoulder barge to the cage. He jumped. It was more of a cannonball than a shoulder barge, because he took the longest to get there first, because when Ospreay first got attacked, everyone was like, oh my god, we gotta run up. He, like, grabbed his heart and, like, took a bump in, like, shock and horror, and, like, laid with, like, his legs up for, like, 2 minutes before he decided, okay, I'm gonna come over and help. And then when he did, he just sprinted as fast as he could.
I thought that aside from Bozilla, the Ibushi versus the mesh steel cage was one of the best things of the entire show. And the other funny thing about it is, like, he's shoot punching the mesh, and he's running and ramming his body into it, and that's all well and good. But I swear to God, he is slender. Even with all the muscle he's put on over the years, he is slender enough to where if he really wanted to, I believe he could have actually fit through that actual gap between the doors, but that would ruin the illusion. Yeah. So he's tossing his body into a door where I 100% believe he could have just walked through it if he literally wanted to, like, shimmy his way through the gap that was there. Yeah. Like, they're all pretending that gap doesn't exist. It's right there. We see it.
And he started walking around and punching other bits of the cage that wasn't the door, as if that was going to be easier to break.
I wish he would have accidentally broken it. It's like, what do we do now?
I honestly, I think if he had done that, because Aubrey told him, like, hey, come on, don't do that cannonball again. Probably because if you do that again, you're going to break it open and you're going to ruin the whole spot. Like, you're going to get it open for real.
Yeah.
They did get people though, because they put up the graphic, they made it seem like the show was over, and then the attack happened on Will, and then they pulmonized his neck. The guys can't get in, yada yada yada. It's very much, they're trying to copy like Dusty and the Horsemen, and the 1994 Brett Brett feud with Owen, and the families all trying to. Have you ever seen that? Have you guys ever seen the whole entire Bret Hart family's trying to get in the and Jim Neidhart and them are punching them out. But I thought that was really good. And then it was funny because the show ended, but then it cut back on, and they're like putting him on the stretcher and everything, and then like Aubrey, who of course has to be the last one. Don't touch his neck. Don't stop touching his neck. And that's the last thing you see. Then like, and I was like, all right.
Oh my God. Yeah. The babyface is really, if they really wanted to get in, they could have just climbed.
Yeah, there was way more of them. There wasn't enough bad guys to like keep them out.
We did see multiple people climb the cage during the match, so it was a bit like, why are we punching it? Like, you can just go up.
Well, you see, they're blown up. Ain't no way they were climbing back up on that.
If you're able to karate punch a cage for a shoot, you're able to move your legs like 10 feet and go upwards.
I've seen fans climb cages and jump into the ring before, so I know that these professional athletes are capable of also doing the same thing.
Yeah. All right, we have a bunch of questions here. I just want to do a quick time check. Emily, I know it's probably like 12:30 where you're at right now. How you doing? You got some energy for questions? Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually feeling really good.
Okay. So we will focus, all of us together, concerted effort, short answers to get us at it, because we've got a 30-minute time limit here, basically.
5 minutes left.
I think I've done that gimmick on the show before where I did time calls.
Yeah, you did do that one time, yeah. So a question from Tekazi. He says, Emily, what Ibushi hijinks have you not reported on already?
I feel like I gave everything, because I feel like I go to shows and I don't mean to do it, but I become like a live Kota Cam. I'm like, you guys are missing this. You're missing the best parts of the match. He harassed the referee when the Young Bucks were coming out, because he didn't know what was going on. I don't think he's ever heard of M-Bop before in his life. So he was a little confused. Obviously, he faked the heart attack when Will Ospreay started getting attacked. And then almost broke the cage for real. He was crying when Ospreay was getting stretchered out. I think he wants to go into acting. Like, he's trying to get a movie role booked, because he was crying. He was putting his hand on his shoulder. He was shushing him. He's like, shh, it's okay. You're going to be fine. Like, don't worry about it. And he was like refusing to move. Kenny was like, you have to move, because the stretcher splits in half so that they can just fit it under Ospreay. And Kenny's like, you got to move because you're in the way. And he's like, I can't move. He's like, I can't leave him on his own. Not now. I can't do it. And he's like, no, seriously, you need to move so we can leave. Like, I want to go home. He was just having so much fun. He couldn't stop going over to Tanahashi. Just be like, hey, we're in the ring together. Hey, like, look at us. Yeah, I think he's just the greatest of all time. And I don't think I can ever be told otherwise.
Next question from Joshi Gio. Given the recent reunion, would you like to see Golden Lovers in NJPW again?
Yeah, we're going on an excursion, actually. We're going to DDT as well. We're doing both. We're double booked in Japan.
I personally would like to see it, but I feel like because they're not I don't think Ibushi's ever going to work in New Japan again. But if he did, I feel like because it's like at this point they are sort of outsiders, I feel like it would need to be the right opponents and the right stage, not just do it just to do it. I feel like it's probably Wrestle Kingdom worthy, honestly.
Yeah, it would have to be a really big tag team match. And of course, I would love to see it, but yeah, you need the right team to have that matchup.
You have them right there with Shota and ELP. It's passing of the torch.
I don't think that's not going to work for me, brother.
I think it works. I think I would fly to Japan. I'll join you.
Well, we're flying to Japan, but we're not.
The 1 million yen seats for Golden Lovers versus Big Shooter and ELP.
What did Fraser say last week? Did he say 100 million yen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Some really expensive seats.
Oh, man. Next question from Rambones. He says, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kota Ibushi interacting was weirdly wholesome and made me happy. Do you think Kota believes Tanahashi is Yakuza affiliated now that he's a president of NJPW?
I'm not answering this question. I have no comment.
I'm not going to answer the question, but since you were talking about Ibushi stuff, I remember one time recently, I won't name any names, but there was an account on Twitter that was talking mad shit for the longest time about Ibushi and Tanahashi, like the inner workings of background stuff and yada yada. Like they knew what was going on, and then Kenny eventually decided to address it. And he's like, "What the fuck do you think you know about my relationship with Ibushi?" He's like, "You know nothing about us." So he's like, "Shut up." And I think about that sometimes.
Oh, man. But yeah, who knows? Maybe Tanahashi will broker a deal to get Ibushi back in New Japan.
Oh, so the guy that the Japanese government was keeping out of the country is going to work to get the other guy into the country as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
A double negative makes positive.
MJ says, if you're Tanahashi, after being in the Forbidden Door environment, seeing all the great quality matches and the spectacle of the cage match, how confident are you in the decision-making that has led to ZSJ versus Ren Narita in Kobe?
I don't know. Good. Bad. Maybe.
I couldn't even begin to claim to know what Tanahashi thinks inside of his head and all that hair and product. I have no idea.
Tanahashi's just happy he survived the cage match.
He lived to see another day, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Aspiring Shoulder says, I've seen some people say that it's not entirely fair to expect Tony Khan to be fully aware of NJPW's storylines and current stars when he's running his own wrestling company, and thus they point the blame at Rocky Romero instead for being a bad liaison. Do you think this is true? Why or why not?
I just watched the show. I don't know. I don't know these people.
I don't think that is a fair assessment. Because, Rocky isn't just a liaison. Rocky is an executive in both companies, but it seems like these days it's probably, given what has taken place with what we've heard, that like the US New Japan is basically kaput, or at least on ice for the time being. It seems like much more of his day-to-day energy. And I'm just, of course, part of this is speculation, but just what it seems like, he's spending much more of his time in AEW in the first place. But the buck doesn't, he's not the scapegoat for Tony Khan. Like the buck falls on whoever is the head of the company. And again, I do think that there is some truth to that. I don't expect Tony Khan to be tuning into New Japan World watching Road to Destruction Night 11. Like that's just not happening. He's not watching them wrestle in like Fukuoka or whatever. But I mean, there is a partnership, and if you're going to do this co-promoted show, I mean, I don't know why these guys, these bookers or whoever the connected people are, can't just pick up the phone and work it out together. You know what I mean? It's not that, I don't think it's that difficult, honestly.
Yeah, I wouldn't put the blame on Rocky. I think that, yeah, obviously, and TK is plugged in enough to, I think, know what is happening and going on.
Yeah, but I think that's part of the problem is he's only plugged in to a very particular niche portion of the fan base on Twitter specifically, and almost seems like nowhere else. And if this fan base is a fan base that loved New Japan 6 years ago, and he is also one of those people that loved New Japan 6 years ago, and none of them are watching the current product, then how clued in can he possibly actually realistically be? I feel like the answer is call your partners and talk to the bookers or whoever the fuck it is and figure out, hey, these are our 5 guys that we might want to use on, give a spotlight for the one annual cross-promoted show we do. Here they are. Figure out what you want to do with them.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's do the next question. Takeli says, if Tony Khan wanted to book Tsuji versus Swerve for the AEW World title last year, how come he couldn't find any match for Tsuji this year?
Well, Tsuji said, I want to go hang out with my friends in Mexico. That's it.
I mean, Tsuji has stated in the past, I don't know how true this is because wrestlers are professional liars, but he has said he does not intend to come over for these shows. So I don't know if that's true. It could be, fake, who knows? But yeah, even recently, Tony said that he has interest in, in Tsuji. So I don't know.
Yeah, and kind of that story that came out, it sounded like, instead of doing Will and Swerve, that there was talks of doing Swerve and Tsuji, but then they were talking to doing Will and Swerve to help get Swerve's title reign over. And obviously there was scheduled stuff, and obviously G1 happening right before wasn't the best thing for this show at all. But I mean, I think Tsuji will probably, I can see him coming in at some point and being used on one of these shows.
And poached.
Doc has a couple questions. Says, I think a lot of the issues with this show are tied to the timing of it. This was the least crossover of them all. Do you guys think this is the path of the show going forward? More of a slant to AEW with less crossover?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just what you said earlier. The G1, it was just bad timing. It was meant to be in June. It wasn't. It's now at the end of August. This is the time that they come to the UK. They wanted to put on something different for the UK. And they tried.
I do think that this is the trend of what's going to happen until like Tony Khan believes that there are guys that are popular enough in the States to be utilized and pushed. They're not going to use and utilize them in a meaningful way. And maybe there's some truth to that in the sense that it's like you're booking for your domestic audience. So you need to put on the show that's going to sell pay-per-views and attract the attendance. But maybe, I don't know, don't call it Forbidden Door anymore if it's not actually going to be a Forbidden Door where guys really actually cross over and work together, which is why I've said that I don't think the partnership is really of any solid importance and moving forward. It hasn't been for quite some time now.
Yeah, I think that it probably will never maybe hit the peak like it did the first couple Forbidden Doors, but I do think that the timing did play a big issue here with G1 and the 5-star Grand Prix, and clearly there's a lot of, I think Tony Khan wanted more of the heavyweight guys, because clearly all the junior guys were available. He could have used Despy, Francisco Akira, like they were top juniors that could have been brought in and had some interesting matches, but clearly there are probably heavyweight guys that he wanted to use, like Umino and some of those guys that maybe too banged up from G1 couldn't come over. So like I said, I don't think we're going to get to the peak of, having the world title be, semi-main event and having some bigger matches until we do get more established New Japan stars. But I do think that next year, if it is back to the normal time slot, we'll probably see a little bit more New Japan interaction, more Stardom, maybe hopefully more CMLL. I know they had some shows going on this weekend as well. So I think if you can kind of get back to that kind of flavor of that international flavor, bringing in all these promotions, it would make the show better.
Yeah, I will say with no Tanahashi next year, it will be interesting because that does leave a big spot for a New Japan talent to fill.
Well, the other thing too is like, yes, there were CMLL guys that were pre-booked on other shows that were unavailable, but that roster is so freaking deep. They could have potentially gotten any number of guys showcased on the show. But I do think it's a similar situation where it's like they're not perceived as stars in the States outside of like Mystico and maybe Hechicero. So we're not going to bring them over. And it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't expose your audience to them, how can you expect your audience to become invested in them when they don't watch those products. The whole purpose of the show is to do that. And he did say a comment during the post media scrum. I don't know if you guys caught it, where they were asked about utilizing more New Japan talent. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he said it's up to whoever's in charge over there to get these guys over to make them viable. And I think that there is a disconnect between what is viable domestically for Japan and then what is viable internationally in America. And the unfortunate part of it is, and this is just the truth, prior to AEW's existence, there was the ROH connection, there was the New Japan expansion in the US. You could actually build these guys over here. And we've already seen that sunset. And those guys are gone. You know, there isn't going to be another Suzuki and Tanahashi and Okada and Naito and you know, Ishii and all these guys that were popular in the States, you know, Kenny and Ibushi and all that. The only way they're going to get, even if they get super popular in Japan, it won't matter here. Nobody is ever going to become over enough in Japan to cross over and make a huge pay-per-view difference in AEW. While I do think that there is some validity to that statement that they're making, that it's like they have to book for their audience. If you're going to use guys from the other company, you also have to bring them over and put them in a position. I'm not saying the top position, but if you don't put them in any position to actually get over with your audience, it just won't happen. And then the whole point of this show becomes null and void because you're not willing to even get, like, I think the problem is that they have too many guys on their roster that they have to try and make happy and give paydays to and get on the pay-per-view, that they can't sacrifice a spot like that for an El Desperado or a Yuya Uemura or a Tsuji or whatever, because, you know, they're going to have to get Cope and Christian on there. Like, that's just it. They got to get the Hurt Syndicate on there. They can't bring over, you know, whoever. Take your pick. There's a lot of guys.
Yuto Ice.
Yeah.
Doc also says, I left the show cold except for a new appreciation of muscular and big women. Between burying Evil via Fightful and then saying he would have booked Tsuji and saying he offered them Brody but Gato ghosted him, is it fair to say Tony Khan is a weasel?
I'd say it's 2025, so why you only just have this new appreciation for muscular and big women is kind of weird. Like, I feel like you should already have that. The rest of it, I don't know. I don't know. I just watched the show.
Yeah, I thought that those were all kind of like, I guess it's like vintage Tony Khan, because he used to do these kinds of, you know, salty statements and stuff. But you know what I would take it as more than anything else is another key sign that this relationship is not healthy, because we've heard things, I won't say them on the air, but we've heard things backstage, comments that have been made that also lead me to believe that this relationship is not healthy. And then when you just look at what's, you know, the circumstantial evidence that's been out there in the public since, you know, going back to January of this year, it's pretty clear that the only thing that is like concerted and coordinated between these companies is like Takeshita. Everything else is very much up in the air. And I think the comments and the backhandedness with Tony Khan is an indication of that not everything is like healthy here.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call TK a weasel, but I mean, clearly at the end of the day, he has his priorities, and I just don't know if, getting New Japan over in the US is a priority for him. But I mean, in the long run, like, it's not really his thing to do, but being their partner and wanting to do these big Forbidden Door shows, it would help to get their guys over here so you can do big dream matches and do these big crossover shows. Next question's here from Joshi Gio. Says, if you were TK, what are 3 things you would do to make Forbidden Door a more inclusive, better show in the next year?
A better date, obviously. We spoke about that. Just actually organizing with everybody else. Like, is this calendar day okay? Can we all make sure we're available, please? More all-star tags. I've mentioned that before. That needs to be your meat and potatoes of the show. that's what works the best. And I think this coincides with it. You need to like maybe put a little bit of a pause on AEW only storylines just to fit these all-stars in. You can still have your big ones, but this pay-per-view concept, the whole point is you don't need a big like build to it, and it'll still be a success, both financially and quality-wise. So yeah, maybe just like putting a little bit of a pause rather than like we have to do these quick, couple weeks build for all these AEW only matches on Forbidden Door. It's like, well, we can just spend that time doing something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I feel like, you know what, if you want, like, just do the AEW world title if you want it to be AEW versus AEW, and you do a longer build for that. And then I would be fine if they did like the IWGP world title as New Japan versus New Japan, so you can build that in Japan and then send some promo videos over to AEW and then kind of have a higher billing because it's more of a New Japan feud. I think that would be fine too. And then the undercard is, your big kind of all-star crossovers. You make some kind of dream team, some wacky faction kind of mix up, and you put them together.
The only other thing I would throw in, and I think you guys have had some good suggestions, is do some crossover build. I'm not saying like it needs to be anything substantial, but like you have the ability to like do some promotional videos for one another, or even when they're sending guys over to do small stints and tours amongst one another, they could hypothetically be building stories that would eventually pay off at Forbidden Door. So that's something that, like, for instance, I don't think the idea that this is another criticism that I think should have been stated earlier. Takeshita being the G1 winner, being used on this show only in the capacity of walking out in a wife beater and some jeans to stare down Wardlow makes no sense, and there's very little recognition or reference to the idea that he just won the most prestigious tournament in the world. That's weird. Stuff like that. Why is that happening? Like, if there's crossover, there should be some crossover build. I'm not sure why there couldn't have been something that came out of the G1 that led to Takeshita being active on this show. I don't know. It's weird.
Also, another weird thing was Ishii not having a match. Like, how is the guy that's like the most crossover guy pretty much on the AEW roster not be featured on a match on this show? Just a pre-show, give Lance Archer a brainbuster and walk out. Like, how is Ishii not involved anywhere in a match on this card?
They wrestled each other on Collision.
Yeah.
Why could we not just put that on Forbidden Door?
Right.
Like, neither of them had a match, but they could work the Hydro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next question says, giving the crew the book, give me your all-time Forbidden Door matchup you would fantasy book.
I don't know if we have enough time, but
Suzuki versus Willow or Statlander in a death match.
Okay.
And Hontai versus a conglomeration.
Yeah, that'd be good. For a long time, I've been wanting Darby versus Hiromu, but I don't know if Hiromu's as crazy enough anymore for that to happen. So I think Despy versus Darby death match is what you book.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really have one. Maybe in like 2021 there would have been one, or 2022, whenever the first one happened. I don't really have one at this point. There's just not very many crossover matches that I'm like dying to see, really. Yeah, personally.
Then next set of questions here from Rainbow Slam Pig. He says, what changes would you make to the planning or booking of Forbidden Door going forward to make it a show you like to see? We kind of covered that already. And he says, beyond simply selling tickets or making money, what do you think the ultimate goal for Forbidden Door as a concept is? Was it achieved this year? Was it achieved in previous years?
I think we've covered that as well, to be honest. I'm pretty sure we've spoken about what the meaning and the importance and the intentions and the reality of it at this point as well.
Yeah. Then next question here from Let's Commission 7252. Other than Hiromu and Zack match, how much do you think New Japan looked overshadowed at this pay-per-view?
I mean, Tanahashi got the pin in the main event.
Shinny-Han. Close the show.
Ichiban.
I don't even know if I would call it overshadowed. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way, but it just kind of felt like this was closer in style to what's the show where Tony Khan came out with
Wrestle Dream.
Yeah, this is like a Wrestle Dream show. It's like it's not actually co-branded half New Japan anymore dream matches. It's just like they have a couple guys there, just like they did for Wrestle Dream, and that's about it, you know.
Hey, they did have Japanese ring announcing all night.
Except
that was a nice touch.
World title matches, right? The AEW world title matches, he disappeared. But
I did think it was funny that they had Walker Stewart on commentary, and they made sure to say the English voice of New Japan Professional Wrestling. Like they made it very like key that he is the guy that represents New Japan, not Chris Charlton,
not the actual British commentator on New Japan.
Yeah.
Also, I thought it was funny when Tanahashi came out and they had the graphic saying he was the 8-time IWGP World Champion. It was like the world title thing, because it was the IWGP champion. Like he's never held the world title. Like,
yeah, and then you had Excalibur trying to explain the history like real quick in like 30 seconds during the sack match.
I also thought it was funny that MJF is calling himself the CMLL World Champion, but because they don't want to call him the light heavyweight champion, even though it's like the one, like out of all their weight classes, it's the second to most heavy, but they don't want to call it that. So like, yeah, he's the world champion.
Last question here from MJ. He says, what was the worst song sung by the audience?
Melingus. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Yeah, that one.
I think I think he means more the chants, but that is funny that you said.
Yeah, it was still a song.
I like that theme song. I don't care.
So do I.
I kind of like it, but I have to pretend that I don't.
There was one chant I didn't like, but I don't remember. I don't know. This wasn't as much of a chanty crowd as I expected them to be. There
was chants, but I think it was just too big. Like you could hear it from the other side starting, but you just couldn't pick it up. So you got some, but not all of them.
The only one I remember is them saying, you know, "Hey Christian, ooh ah,
I want to know if you'll be my dad."
If you'll be my dad.
And you got the Swerve's house in the middle of our street.
Oh, I didn't catch that. That's funny.
Yeah.
You know, one I used to love from OTT, and it's really bad because he's so canceled and he's a horrible person. But when Matt Riddle used to wrestle there, they say, "You are bro. Always believe in your soul. You have the power to go. Always believe it. You are bro." And they sing it for so long throughout his whole match. I loved it.
Oh my God.
Oh man. Good old OTT days.
Couple of bits of news and we'll get out of here. 2 title matches have been added to Destruction in Kobe. Zack Sabre Jr. will defend the world title against Ren Narita. The winner of that match will face the IWGP, the G1 Climax winner, Konosuke Takeshita, at King of Pro Wrestling on October 13th. Also, Oleg Boltin will defend his Never title against Don Fale. I know we're all riveting for that one.
I'm so excited.
The other bit of news, Toru Yano has taken a more important role within NJPW this year. He has his hands in a little bit of everything, including some influence regarding booking in the company, according to Fightful Select, which, you know, makes sense. That's why we're in the shitter right now. That's why this company is in such a piss poor position.
Picture Bret Hart. That's the problem with this damn company.
That's why we're in the. Yeah, I love that promo. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
Oh man.
Oh.
All right, well, that's going to wrap the show up for this week. Emily, once again, get your plugs out. Tell people where they can follow you online.
MB Star. It's all there. I'm too tired to bother plugging it. You heard it at the start. Just rewind. Okay.
She did it.
I've done it. We've been there.
And guys, I'll let you know too. I know we're a little bit behind, but there's a holiday week coming up it has been very difficult to do Tanahashi Ace of the Universe along with the G1, along with everything else that's been demanded of me at work. But this week I will have 06 out, and I am planning to have 07, 08 in very short succession. You still have my commitment. We will have the entire series done before January 4th in the Tokyo Dome. So
nice. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Next we'll be back to preview the Blue Justice show and cover all of this news. Remember, if you want to watch our show live, listen without ads, you can sign up at patreon.com/KIStrongstyle. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Make sure to get with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at the Social Suplex, at Jeremy L. Donovan, and at YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/Social Suplex. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just Keeping Strong Style. On YouTube, we're at Social Suplex. You can join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. You can email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio with Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps, AEW Adventure. Wrestling Art with Chris Sings. Tone Talk with Ali and Aaliyah. And the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
You can say it if you want to, Emily.
Do I? I'm so excited. I was going to ask and I forgot. Okay. Ichi bad. That was awful.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.